You see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. For the ramrods we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets the most bursting yet through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sailors, as star-spangled banner yet wave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Some very proud parents there of those kids just sang our national anthem. You see the flyover of the F-18s. When you come to Bristol, everything is bigger, more electric. And definitely the crowds are bigger. This place seats almost 160,000 people and nearly full tonight for Saturday night racing. Hello everyone, Rick Allen alongside a guy who's won here before, back in 2008, Jeff Burton, our crew chief Steve Letarte. When you talk about venues that really create electricity, you think about Lambeau Field or Wrigley Field, places that just have such a great history. Well, absolutely, Bristol Motor Speedway fits right in there. What is it about this place that creates such an electricity?
There's so much excitement about this racetrack, the patriotism that we see here. There's really no pre-race that can match this. You just feel the excitement from the fans, and ultimately, the drivers and the teams are so close to the fans. When something happens, their fans are right on top of the racetrack. It's just an experience you can't match.
Well, I think close is the key word. We talk about these great venues we go to, but these 1.5 miles, 2 miles tracks are spread out. We have a great deal of fans, but they're all over the place. When we come to Bristol, it's a 1/2 mile. It's a small coliseum. We're stacked in here. The fans are on top of the racing. The teams are on top of one another. There's going to be happy drivers and probably some upset drivers.
Well, absolutely, and things happen so fast here that things could be out of your control at this racetrack. You could get caught up in something that you didn't have anything to do with.
No question about it, and that's why the drivers love this place, and they also hate it. You go back and look at some of the past races here. Look at this wreck. Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick get together. Hamlin spins at the bottom of the racetrack. No big deal. But look, here's Dale Earnhardt Jr. minding his own business. Boom, big wreck. Had nothing to do with that, but he ended up getting caught up in it.
Yeah, it's not if the wrecks are going to happen, it's can you avoid them. Right here, Jeb Burton and Jimmy Johnson get together, Jeb Burton spins. Kevin Harvick sees it, but if we get on board with Kevin Harvick, he knows it's coming. There's nowhere to go. As he tries to slow down, he loses control. He's in the accident as well.
So many things can take place here, and obviously guys that are out front, maybe they don't get caught up in things like Joe Gibbs Racing, who have been so strong over the past few weeks. They start in the top 3 positions. But what about our bubble drivers, the guys that are right on that cut line for the chase? They've got to worry about not getting involved in something.
Yeah, I think they're terrified going into this race because this race has always brought a lot of accidents. So if you look at McMurray to Boyer, all these guys, they just want to get out of here clean because they need points. But then you go to Amarola all the way down to Dillon. This is an opportunity race. Can they take advantage of all the problems that happen at this racetrack?
Yeah, we talk about points, but let's not forget the playoffs. It's only 3 weeks away. A win and you're in. So points are important, but how about Ricky Stenhouse Jr.? All the way back at 29th in points, he still has hope. 3 top 10 finishes here, maybe tonight. How about your first win at Bristol? Couldn't think of a better place.
Could possibly happen, and punch your ticket for the chase. The adrenaline, it comes at an all-time high when they fire the engines, and the drivers obviously know about the electricity here at Bristol.
There's just something in the air a summer night in Bristol, Tennessee.
There's no track like Bristol, the banking, the size, the speed.
The Bristol Night Race is a marquee race for us.
You push a little bit harder, you do a little bit more.
Everyone will always tell you as a casual race fan who's never been to a race, what race should you go see? And everyone will say, go see the Bristol Night Race.
Guess we got a little off track, but love knows a way back through the storms and pouring rain. Got my hands on the wheel and I'm flying, heartbeat loud as the thunder rolls, riding in on a stampede of lightning. I'm bringing back the sunshine, bringing back the sunshine, baby, it's about time. Whoa, bring it back. Oh, yeah.
The opportunity to make the chase, they're running out. And now the wild card, Bristol Motor Speedway, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Drivers are strapped into their cars. It's night racing at Bristol. It's time for the command. Let's go trackside.
Now for the words we've all been waiting to hear, please welcome your Grand Marshal, the Executive Chairman of Speedway Motorsports and 2016 NASCAR Hall of Fame inductee, O. Bruton Smith.
Drivers, start your engines!
We are running. You can wait if you want.
"43 cars have come to life. That means the next thing we see is the green flag. Thunder Valley. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by the new movie No Escape in theaters everywhere Wednesday. Sprint, check out the new All-In plan at sprint.com/all-in. And by Tostitos, bring the party. Lights coming on at Bristol Motor Speedway. Starting grid will roll across the top of the screen, and it will be led by two Joe Gibbs Racing drivers, Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch. Let's see if we can chat with Denny Hamlin, our pole winner. Jeff, dial him up.
Hey, Denny, it's Jeff Burton in the NBCSN booth. You with us?
10-4, I got you.
All right, but this track throws a lot of challenges to race teams. Can you tell us what you and your team have focused on the most going into tonight's race?
I'd say probably the biggest thing is going to be execution. We saw how hard it was to pass last night, so I think if we perform at a high level like I know this Texas ground team can, then see no reason why we can't stay up front all night.
We saw the high groove, obviously the preferred line last night. Do you think you can pass on the bottom?
Yeah, I actually think I can. That's typically where it seems like our cars have been good, is being able to pass on the bottom, and I think that's probably crucial to pass the lap cars on the bottom and not get hung up behind them on the high side. So I think who could work the traffic best on the bottom is probably going to be the guy that prevails.
All right, good luck to you and your team tonight.
Thank you.
Denny and Jeff referencing the Xfinity race that was on the track last night. We're going to ride along with a few different drivers that will be carrying cameras for us as we see the field beginning to roll off of pit road. One of those is Casey Mears. He will start 28th tonight with the Geico in-car camera. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has the Nationwide Insurance onboard camera, and he will start 20th. The Coca-Cola onboard with Ryan Newman behind the wheel starts 18th tonight. Clint Boyer has the 5-Hour Energy in-car camera. He will start in the top 10. Kevin Harvick has the Budweiser on board, starting 7th tonight. Kyle Busch with the Sprint on board. He will start on the front row. He starts 2nd on the field. And we just chatted with him. He has the pole and the Toyota onboard camera. Again, he starts 1st tonight. It's Denny Hamlin. A lot of storylines as we get ready for this, the 3rd race before the chase. For more on those storylines here at Bristol, let's go to Dave Burns.
Rick, here's one for you. Eric Almirola crashed in practice yesterday. Crew Chief Trent Owens told me that the track picked up so much speed from the recent practice that it surprised Eric, and the car bottomed out, sending it out of control. He qualified the repaired car 31st, but what he really needs is for wild card Bristol to go his way. He's still below the chase grid cutoff line, and he needs points tonight. Marty Snyder?
Dave, risk versus reward. That could be the key for Kyle Busch's team tonight. On one hand, the 18 team trying to protect their points, trying to stay inside the chase, which they are currently. On the other hand, if you listen to everybody in the garage area this morning, the 18 team, the car to beat tonight. Kyle Busch has been extremely fast all weekend long. How aggressive or how conservative do they play it late in the race especially is going to be fun to watch. Mike Massaro.
Marty, over the last 8 weeks, Carl Edwards has watched his teammates go to victory lane 6 times. Make no mistake about it, he wants to join the party. Edwards told me moments ago, he said there's no greater motivation than when your teammates have fast race cars, as they do tonight. He says it reinforces the fact that he knows he can do the same. Tonight, he starts 3rd, looking for his 4th Bristol win. Kelly Stavis.
There's just 1 day of practice for this event. For Martin Truex Jr., that was interrupted when he had a crash caused by a broken control arm. Unlike Eric Almirola, this team went to a backup car, and they have been thrashing on it ever since. Crew Chief Cole Pern called it a wholesale rebuild. He said, we really don't know what we'll have until we get out on track for the race, but with a little bit of strategy, they think they can move their way forward. Martin Truex Jr. starts 23rd, Rick.
Thank you, Kelly. I want to take a look at the particulars of Bristol Motor Speedway. It's very unique. Just over a half mile. The banking is what is so incredible about this track. 24 to 28 degrees of banking in the corners. The front stretch, 9 degrees. The back stretch up to 8 degrees of banking. And the front stretch and back stretch both 650 feet in length. Our Sunoco Fuel race facts, 500 laps, 266.5 miles. And the pit road speed was very slow, 30 miles per hour. The fuel window, though, Steve, 150 to 160 laps.
Yeah, when we think of short tracks, we don't think of the fuel windows very much, but just last night in the Xfinity race, we saw Chris Buescher have a fuel issue on the last restart and get beat for the win. So with track position being important at this tight little bull ring, that could come into play tonight.
As the skydiver jumped into Bristol Motor Speedway earlier, a beautiful overhead view of this racetrack. Tonight's aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods. 43 cars working their way around this track 2 by 2. We mentioned the high line is the preferred line. everyone on restarts is going to choose that high line, we would think, before this race starts, right, Jeff?
I think that's what's going to happen. I think Denny Hamlin will pick the high line for sure. But having said that, the racetrack is clean. If you look at the racetrack now versus the last time we saw these cars on the racetrack, a lot of the rubber is gone. The track's been cleaned. So the grip level is not going to be there right now when the race starts. The grip is actually worse at the start of this race than it will be as it goes on. So he may pick the bottom early.
Is this team orders, do you think? I mean, the two teammates talking to each other saying, hey, I'll give you that spot if you let me stay in second?
Well, they had a little practice. Last night they started the same exact way, and Denny Hamlin chose the bottom in the Xfinity race as well. It looked to me like Kyle Busch allowed him to get down in turn one. You got to remember, if you swap these positions and you put the second place starter at a disadvantage on the bottom, there's a chance Kyle Busch could go back in traffic. So I think this is just two teammates starting a long 500-mile or 500-lap race, helping each other out.
Recent domination by Joe Gibbs Racing. Take a look at this season. They've won 9 of the last 18 races. Pole for 4 of the last 5 races. Started 1, 2, 3 of the last 2 races. And they've led almost 50%, 44% of the laps in the last 6 races. So a very dominant team. They have the momentum. Kyle Busch won the Xfinity race last night. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch starting on the front row tonight. Is there a favorite that we can expect?
Well, I think you just listed them. I think Joe Gibbs Racing. Until I see someone come out and dominate the races as Joe Gibbs Racing have, they have to be your favorites tonight.
And of their 4 drivers, they have won 8 of the last 10 Bristol night races. That is domination. Does anybody have anything for them? The crowd is on their feet. It's night racing in Bristol. Green flags in the air. Second laps clicking off. Denny Hamlin, race leader. Kyle Busch running the high line, second. The battle is on, though, for that position. His teammate, Carl Edwards, in the 19 on the bottom of the track.
I really believe if you're going to make the bottom work, you're going to have to do it early in this race. Carl Edwards needs to keep trying to make this bottom work. If he can't, then he needs to try to fill the hole behind the 55 before the outside line gets to him.
Here comes that 55 of David Reagan, not wanting to give him that preferred line, the high line. Carl Edwards is going to be able to slide up in front of the 55. Now the 22 of Joey Logano with his teammate on his outside. The 2 of Brad Keselowski trying to make that low line work. Preferred line here at Bristol, right up against the wall.
Yeah, but as Jeff mentioned early, or right at the beginning of the race, how clean the racetrack is. Without the rubber built up on the top groove yet, it seems like there's still some opportunity in the bottom. Joey Logano is continuing to fight hard on that lower lane. And while he's not passing a lot of guys, he's definitely hanging right with David Reagan, perhaps gaining just inches on him.
The 11 of Denny Hamlin out front. Kyle Busch running second. The 19 of Carl Edwards third.
See, Keselowski almost running the middle of the racetrack. Really haven't seen that groove at all this weekend so far.
David Reagan has 4th, Joey Logano 5th, Brad Keselowski 6th, and he goes to the bottom of the track now. He'll challenge his teammate for position.
The reason this racetrack changes so much is because this racetrack takes rubber from the tires. So we're going to see this track get darker and darker and darker. The tire rubber actually goes into the racetrack, and it changes the way the track drives, and it changes what the drivers do. So far this weekend, and we go back and look at the last several races, the cars will get higher and higher and higher as this race goes.
One of the things that we noticed last night in the Xfinity race, Chris Buescher was able to stay out on older tires and stay in front of the field when he had that preferred line and the good track position. So he was able to stay out and lead the race, and if it wouldn't have been for not enough fuel in the pickup, Chris Buescher would have won the race last night.
Yeah, and after the race, Chris Buescher mentioned that they knew they had a great race car. So I think it's more than just track position. I think you have to have a really good car to go with it, and they seem to have a good car. You see back here in the front, while it's pretty organized up front, back here they're fighting for track position. Man, had a little throwback there. I see that 24 in that rainbow scheme. It brings me back to my early days in NASCAR. That's the paint scheme that I worked on when I started. But you see some give and take early. Jeff Gordon slides up the racetrack. Trevor Bayne goes back underneath him, and a lot of give and take in the back of the pack at this point.
The pit crew was nicknamed the Rainbow Warriors with that paint scheme. As we see the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to make the bottom work. The 3 of Austin Dillon.
You have to be so patient to run the bottom. When you drive down in the bottom, it's so easy to overdrive the bottom and lose the apron. You know what I mean, Jeff? To run the bottom and run it successfully, you have to kind of go in and chase it right around the black.
That's right. If you overdrive the corner at all, meaning that if you drive in the corner too deep, it really messes up your line. So it's very much a rhythm racetrack, and even more so on the bottom. You can overdrive the top a little bit because there's more grip there. It'll catch your car. If you overdrive the bottom, it just slides up the racetrack.
And we're seeing right now the 41 of Kurt Busch running that low line right along the apron through the turns. We watch Kevin Harvick. You mentioned a rhythm racetrack. Hard on the gas, off the gas into the brakes, and right back at it again. They're going to do it 500 laps.
And Jimmy Johnson needs to be very careful. We saw this out of Kyle Larson last night, and he's doing it again. He's working the really high side of the racetrack, and he's done it. He's put the 48 and the 41 3 wide. He politely let them back in line, but he's not going to do this again. If he gets the right rear quarter panel on the 48 like he has right here, he's going to push the issue.
We just saw Matt Kenseth look like a little contact there.
Yeah, these guys have to push the issue. You want to be polite, but you have to continue. If you get position on someone, you have to take it.
Denny Hamlin, a fight for the lead now. Hamlin has a rear view mirror full of the 18 of Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch looked to the bottom of the track.
And one thing we see Denny Hamlin start to catch the back end of the field. One way to pass somebody here is to catch them in lap traffic. Find them in a position where they catch somebody and actually turn before you get to the lap traffic and try to block them behind them. Let's see if Kyle Busch tries to take advantage of that. Marty, you have something?
Well, Jeff, Kyle Busch was so fast in the final practice yesterday. They were very happy with the 18 car. They made a 45-lap run, but they came in on lap 45, and Kyle actually had a tire going down. So they're a little bit worried about that. Adam Stevens has reminded them twice now, make sure you're taking care of those front tires. And also we talked about their points position. They have to really protect tonight. So I'm curious, Steve, how would you play the race for your Adam Stevens? A, you know you probably have the fastest car here. B, you know you had a tire issue in final practice. And then C, you need to stay out front and protect those points. So it's a definite chess match for Adam Stevens tonight.
It really is, Marty, but I think the best way to call this race is aggressively staying towards the front. While there is always concern about tires and about pushing your equipment and running too hard, we've seen time and time again, Jeff, back in traffic, a lot happens. You don't want to get off those front 2 rows. While no one is safe at Bristol, the chance of having an issue definitely goes up if you go back in the traffic.
No question. You see 2 completely distinct lines there for a few laps with the 18 and the 11. The 18 was really working the bottom, trying to make that happen. He just couldn't gain any ground. He could gain ground to the middle, but the 11 car would just beat him so badly leaving the corner.
And now we see some of the slower cars stacking up in front of race leader Denny Hamlin. This could be the opportunity that Kyle Busch is looking for. Give him an opportunity to get by, choose the right line. Denny Hamlin still working around slower lap traffic.
Contact. Yeah, contact right there between the 23 and the 11 at Denny Hamlin. And we've got to talk about this all night, aren't we, Jeff? Patience. Patience.
Look at the run he has here. Kyle Busch powers by the 11 of Denny Hamlin. A great pass by the 18 of Kyle Busch. And we mentioned it could be some of the slower cars almost having a pick for Denny Hamlin there. That was J.J. Yaley. Slowed the 11 down, enabled the 18 to get by and take the lead. watch a live stream of every Sprint Cup Series race with NBC Sports Live Extra. It's available on your laptop, tablet, smartphone, and connected TVs. NBC Sports Live Extra brings you closer to every race. And things are very close when you come to Bristol. Kyle Busch now out front. He has 1.5 second lead over second Denny Hamlin. Take a look at this pass.
Yeah, you see Denny Hamlin in the 11 fighting lap traffic, and he turns to go underneath the 23, tries to get into the power, but he thinks the 23's up here, and he just couldn't get the power down off the corner. It looked like he was fighting either a tight or loose conditions, hard to tell, but as he couldn't get power down, the 18 of Kyle Busch jumped on the opportunity and got by him.
And a little bit behind them, you can see the 15 of Clinton Boyer trying to work on the outside of the 41 of Busch. That's one thing you can do. If you catch a guy in the middle of the corner a little bit low, then you try to just jump up on the outside of him. But if the spotter's not paying attention and he doesn't let you know that someone's on the outside of you, it can be a big wreck. And that's almost what happened right there with these two guys.
Yeah, we talk about a half-mile racetrack. What happens? You see 18 right here. Kyle Busch, he's your leader. Clean racetrack, running great lap times. You know what that does? That puts pressure on the guys in front of him that he's going to lap. And it is a knot of cars in front of the 18. Look what he's getting ready to catch. Good race cars. You have Tony Stewart, Paul Menard, Austin Dillon, the 43 of Eric Almirola.
27 sideways. Paul Menard saves it.
Good job there, bud. Nice and smooth here. Nice and smooth. Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Great job saving it by the 27 of Paul Menard. But that, you know what that is? That's the pressure. The leaders are coming, and these guys know it.
Like the 47 got in the back of the 27, put him sideways, and he was able to save it. You mentioned hard to get by these guys. Kyle Busch trying to get by Tony Stewart, but he's got to do it at the bottom of the racetrack. Not the preferred line.
It's a great example of how hard it is to pass. I mean, Tony Stewart, he's back in 30th. He's not running very well, but they've gotten to him and they can't get by him. So just very difficult to make this bottom line work.
And now he falls in line behind the 14. He's got to keep his eye, though, on the mirror because the 11 of Denny Hamlin right there, ready to pounce.
Remember the 27, Paul Menard, he's one of our guys that needs a good finish tonight. He's trying to race himself into the chase. So early in the race, he's a lap down, not the start they were looking for.
One of the bubble drivers in the top 16 wants to make sure he doesn't have an issue and fall out of the top 16 here at Bristol. The gap between the 18 and the 11 has grown almost a second now, Kelly.
Both those drivers raced in the Xfinity Series race last night. One of the lessons that Denny Hamlin learned was that the track transitioned differently than they expected. It changed the balance of the car, but as crew chief Dave Rogers says, it's strange. Sometimes the Xfinity notes work for the Cup cars, sometimes they don't. Right now, Denny saying he's tight on exit, and his spotter encouraging him to use his tools, Mike.
Kelly, Kevin Harvick loves this racetrack, and why not? His record here is nothing short of spectacular. He's won here in the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and in the Cup Series. So Rodney Childers obviously did not want to waste an opportunity with what he thought might be a problem. So they went to work on this car this afternoon, a rather big repair. Had to replace the entire clutch assembly to make sure it's right. Right now, Kevin saying the only thing he's missing is a little bit of grip on exit. Marty?
Mike, Jimmy Johnson started 10th, and he's now back to the 12th position. You see him trying to go around Landon Castle right there. The problem for Johnson, the car very tight. It's also bottoming out. Chad Knaus told him on the radio, work on your line, especially getting into 3. He said the fast cars are actually entering above where the rubber is, even a little bit closer to the wall, if you can imagine that.
Marty, yesterday in qualifying, Tony Stewart's car snapped loose unexpectedly. That's why he qualified 40th, and that's why you saw him just get lapped by the leaders. He told his team before the race started, I'll try to dig us out of the hole I dug for us as quick as I can. That'll involve a free pass at some point if Tony can keep the speed up. Rick?
Thanks, Dave. The biggest mover is the 14 of Tony Stewart. He's already got 10 laps. 10 positions as we see the caution coming out for the first time. Debris on the racetrack. And already the pace putting 28th all the way back to 43rd, at least a lap down.
And when you talk about pace and everything happens fast at Bristol, even pit road opens fast. So Kyle Busch in the 18 just picked up the pace car going in turn 1. Now remember, turn 2, that's where you have to make the decision. The light's green, pit or not, those decisions come quick.
And as a crew chief, you found that out firsthand.
I did. I've made a few mistakes my first time here.
Dave Burns.
David Reagan will take 4 tires for a car that is free in and off the corner. He was running 4th when the caution came out. As for Matt Kenseth, his car was tight. He wanted a little more front grip in that race car, the 20. Marty?
The leader, Kyle Busch, hits the other end of pit road here on the back stretch. His car was a little bit tight. They're going to go 1 round down in the right rear rather, of Wedge. He's a little bit worried about the oil and water temperature, 270 and 300 on that. They're going to clean the grill. Mike?
Carl Edwards saying he's a little bit loose off. They're going to take a wedge adjustment, take a little bit of wedge out on the right side. A 4-tire change on the 19 car and Sunoco race fuel. Carl Edwards trying to get the feel he needs to get to the front.
Joey Logano in that 22 said he started off free, loosening up in the front. Now the rear has gotten loose. It's going to be 4 tires for the 22, and Denny Hamlin saying that he is tight on exit. He's been trying to work the track bar. 4 tires as well for that 11 car.
And Denny Hamlin not quick out of his pit stall. The 18 of Kyle Busch and the 42 of Kyle Larson. Great off the pit road. Larson making up 6 spots. Welcome back to the IRWIN Tools Night Race at Bristol. NASCAR Mobile is the best way to follow your favorite drivers. You can build your own leaderboards, watch live in-car cameras, listen to driver in-car audio. All you have to do is go to NASCAR.com/mobile. Beautiful setting at the base of the Appalachian Mountains, Blue Ridge Mountains. You've got the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. back on pit road.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It looked like the front tire change went around and hit the lug nuts on both sides, but I didn't see him change a tire. I don't know if they didn't think they got him tight or what the situation was.
Tony Stewart got the free pass. Danica and the 21 car Blaney, they both got penalized for speeding.
9 wave arounds as they come out of turn 4. Green flag back in the air. Kyle Busch chooses the outside line. Kyle Larson on the bottom of the track trying to hang on to that second spot. But here comes the 11 of Denny Hamlin.
And Kyle Larson in that 42, they gained this track position by taking only 2 right side tires. We'll see, we didn't think tires were a huge gain last night in the Xfinity race, but remember, these cars are traveling faster, have more power. You never know how the tires are going to wear differently than last night.
The 88, after coming onto pit road, giving up the 16th spot, restarted 42nd. We'll see if their progress works out for them. That's normally what happens when you see someone get caught up in an incident not of their making. When they're back in the pack, Someone gets sideways and they get caught up in it.
That's exactly right, Rick. You know, when you talk about luck, there's bad luck situations, but then there's also opportunity to make your own luck. And when you have a mistake, whatever this mistake is, and you lose track position because of it, then get caught up in a wreck, that's not bad luck, that's creating your own bad luck.
We had mentioned the 21 and the 10 both speeding on pit road, so they had to serve their penalties. Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, David Reagan. They're the top 5. Then it's Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, Clint Bowyer, and Brad Keselowski, the top 10. Everyone pointing the finger at the 18 of Kyle Busch, saying that's the best car here this weekend. But they were also mentioning the 4 of Kevin Harvick, a very strong car, a very strong contender.
And listen, I've seen a lot of trophies attempted to give out in practice that didn't end up that way at the end of the race. That's why we race. We don't give out trophies for practice because the 18, he was fastest. He was fastest in everything I looked at. 1-lap run, 5-lap run, qualifying run, 15-lap average. He had a great car, but you still have to come out, Jeff, and run 500 laps, execute, get on and off pit road, not make mistakes. There's a lot of ways to lose this race, very few ways to win it.
No question. It's a lot of laps. 500 laps here lasts a long time. A lot of times to make mistakes. See here the 22 trying to get by the 42. Right after the restart, the 42 gets way up the racetrack. 22 doesn't quite have enough grip where he is. 42 kept the spot. There's 2 guys sliding around right after the restart. Did a good job of staying off each other. Marty, you have something to add on the 42?
Well, Jeff, Steve mentioned they took 2 tires on that last stop, and it actually could have been a little bit better for the team when they dropped the jack. Kyle Larson waited a moment. Chris Eloy asked him on the radio, everything okay in there? He said, yeah, I actually forgot we were just doing 2 tires, and happens quite a bit. He said it's a little free in and a little bit tight in the center, but he remember, last night, he finished 2nd in the Xfinity race. He loves that being up front. Kelly?
Joey Logano won this race a year ago, and I talked to his crew chief, Todd Gordon, asked him what was the key to that success. He said he really had to execute on all levels. In addition to that, he said the rubber that builds up here at first, it creates more grip, but then it builds up so much it can actually become an issue. Joey knows how to drive around that. That is one of his strengths here. Joey right now is saying he's tight in the center, loose on exit. They gave him a wedge adjustment on that last time by, Dave.
Even though David Reagan had trouble in the spring, they had a very good race car, Brian Patty, the crew chief, told me this morning. He said they made progress even further at the test just recently. And then this weekend, even more progress. They kept going in the right direction, qualified 4th, and David Reagan, who's had so much turmoil this week at Michael Waltrip Racing, has a chance to send a big bonus to his guys, Rick.
Absolutely. Michael Waltrip Racing, the big news coming out this week, that they would not field a full-time car in the 2016 season. 2 cars there, the 55 driven by David Reagan and the 15 of Clint Bowyer, both having good nights, both in the top 10.
And I mean, really, while it affects a lot of employees, you know, there's 200 plus employees at Michael Waltrip Racing. 2 of those employees are also David Reagan and Clint Bowyer. They're going to have to find an opportunity and where they're going to go next year. So all of these races, while you can be frustrated and disappointed by the situation, which is a natural human response, you also could look at these as a chance, especially for a guy like David Reagan, to show his talent. A good run here at Bristol could be just what he needs to maybe capture a ride for next year.
Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Joe Gibbs Racing, 1 and 2, continuing to dominate the Sprint Cup Series. Welcome back to NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Racing from Bristol, presented by No Escape. I want to take a look at tonight's Toyota driver update. Don't have to look very far. Kyle Busch out front, Denny Hamlin running second. Kenseth, their teammate, is fifth. David Reagan, Carl Edwards, Clint Boyer, all in the top 10. Mike.
And certainly this is exactly what the 15 team was wanting tonight, especially after the finish they had a week ago and the disappointment in Michigan. Right now, though, they're very conscious of their situation where they're on the bubble in regards to the chase. Clint Boyer's spotter just told them moments ago, don't try to run the top of the racetrack. It's way too early in the race to risk it. Run the bottom, we'll fix it as we move on. But right now, he's not able to run where he wants.
Look at that vantage point, the front bumper of the 15, Clint Boyer, one of our bubble drivers, in the 16th spot, wanting to hang on to that position, but would love to get a win to lock himself into the chase with just this and 2 more races before we start the chase.
Yeah, and as you ride along with these drivers, you really hear about how much of a rhythm racetrack that is. It's almost like, there's a rhythm. It's like a lullaby to me. A guy that's been growing up at racetracks, we hear he's off the gas, on the brake, picks the throttle back up only for a few seconds. These straightaways are short, lifts nice and early, uses the little brake, trying to run that middle of the racetrack. You have to use a little more brake, Jeff, than the top of the racetrack. But it's just riding along, we've run 3 or 4 laps already. Just how quick they really click by here.
Yeah, what's amazing is if you make one little mistake, if you drive in the corner too deep, if you get on the throttle too soon, if you don't enter at the right angle, you can get above that rubber, and now you're in big trouble. Because remember, all that rubber gets stacked up against the wall, and then it falls down from the wall a little bit, maybe a foot. So if you get in that loose rubber, it's big trouble. So that's what Clint Spotter was talking about. Hey, let's be smart. Give ourselves a little bit of a cushion right now. Let's don't get into trouble this early in the race.
What about fatigue, Jeff? As a driver here, we're almost a fifth of the way through this race, coming up on 100 laps. We've only had 1 caution. That's a lot of time that these guys are on the gas and in the G's of the corner here.
No question, this track is physically demanding. I think it's probably the most physically demanding. And we get these long green flag runs, that makes it much worse. When you get those breaks, you get a caution, that enables you to catch your breath a little bit. But when you just go green lap after lap after lap, physically that's very demanding.
Kyle Busch competed in the Camping World Truck Series on Wednesday, the Xfinity race last night, and now the Cup race. Get the ultimate pass to every moment of tonight's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race with Race Buddy. Choose from multiple HD feeds of different drivers. Follow the race action with a live leaderboard. Tune in and NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy. Dale Earnhardt Jr. came onto pit road a second time. They had an issue with one of the tires, and now he's about to, and he is going a lap down, Kelly.
Well, and his crew chief, Ray Guys, has stressed to me in the last 2 weeks how they really need to focus on executing well as they prepare to go into the chase, and that was just it. Dale Earnhardt Jr. had to make a second pit stop under that last caution to tighten up a loose right front tire. That dropped him back to 42nd. You see now, currently 29th, and now it's gone a lap down.
And they made a mistake, obviously. They made a mistake having to come back on pit road, but once he got back there, the only cars he really was able to pass were the cars that were essentially the free pass cars, the cars that took the wave around. So, he has not been able to really pass any good cars. You see these two guys battling. Junior's just not been able to make any ground to the front at all.
David Reagan had a run at the bottom of the track, was able to keep that position. Kevin Harvick took it back, and now the 41 of Kurt Busch, the 15 of Clint Boyer. Things heating up back here. 55 of Reagan running 7th, 8th, and 9th on the screen.
So Boyer behind him. You see how much lower he is than those other two guys. He's about a full width of a car lower. That is a little bit of Clint Boyer's style as well. He likes running the high line, but if you go back and think about some of the races at Bristol, he's been one of the drivers has been able to pass cars by running the very bottom. So I'm not completely surprised that he's a little lower.
Kurt Busch working the bottom of the track, trying to get by that 55, but now the 15 of Clint Boyer takes advantage of that.
That's a great example how when you try to pass somebody on the bottom, you don't get it done. If you leave that hole open for the guy behind you, he's going to go on the outside and pass you. So you got to decide when is it the right time to pass. Right now is a great opportunity for Clint Boyer to try this because there's nobody behind him. He's got space. If it doesn't work, he's not going to lose the spot. And many times in racing, it's not always best to make a pass when you think you can. You may lose 2 or 3 spots if it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I really like this approach by the 15 of Clint Boyer. I think he's being very conservative in his car. He's running the lane down like Jeff said, but it gets great.
Hooker, it looks like the 20 of Matt Kenseth with smoke coming out.
Helmets on, guys. All men over the wall here.
Is that coming out of the exhaust? He said blowing up.
Yeah, you heard him say it was a valve spring or something, Dave.
Yeah, obviously sounds motor related, completely by surprise. And Matt brings it slowly onto pit road. The crew not very active. They know their night is done.
Yeah, and to be honest, at this point, as fast as this place is and the tight quarters there is, with already having wins and in the chase, you have to ask yourself if you even want to complete the race or just go behind the wall, because if that thing does let go in the wrong spot of the racetrack, maybe in front of your teammate,
right.
There's really no reason for Matt Kenseth to be back out on the racetrack.
You see it's only getting worse. Look how much smoke's pouring out of it right now. So it's going to the engine. Essentially, it would just eat itself up, and they may come in and try to fix it, take a valve spring off, but probably not.
Following behind the 13, Casey Mears. You see the smoke starting to come out. They see that, and I'm sure Kenseth immediately feels it.
No question. And sometimes what the teams will do is they'll come in, they'll take the valve springs off and actually take the valves and kind of pry them up, get them out of the way, take the rocker arms off so they can't work, so they won't further break and destroy the engine just to make laps. But as Steve said, in the position that they're in, why do they really need to do that?
Well, he's in a better position than poor Paul Menard because he's in a mess of cars right here. This is a guy we talked about, a bubble guy, not having the night he wants. And you can't compound a night of a car not quite as fast as you want by getting in an accident. So he still has to be very careful in this traffic.
A lot of traffic here. Paul Menard right in front of all of that traffic. A.J. Allmendinger into 47. Casey Mears. The bubble drivers, as they run, those are points ahead of 17th place. Almirola's 17th. Clint Boyer's gained a little ground in that 17th position. 32 points now separating him from 17.
And the 15 is in a really hairy position right here. You saw contact with the 98 off the last corner, trying to work through these lap cars. Here's the problem with Bristol. You can be conservative. You can run, but you can't hide. At some point, you have to find your way through this lap traffic, and there's not always a simple way to do it. Right here, there's traffic everywhere. Clint Boyer knows he has to get through this traffic, so how do you make your decision? He's here 3 wide, gets a run on the 98, feels that the 98 of Hill knows he's there. He has to get out of the gas because of the 38. The 98's not ready for that. Next you know, he's almost ping pong ball between the two cars.
He cannot have another bad finish.
Inside. Get it back.
That was a very nervous moment as he checks up, because he knows, Jeff, as a driver, when you check up, you have to be worried about that guy behind you. Does he know that you're in trouble? Because if he's right on your bumper, you're going to get spun to the bottom.
You see a lot of wrecks here because the guy slows up trying to miss something in front of him. The guy behind him doesn't get slowed up at the same rate and ends up getting you spun out.
How about the two-tire call for the 42 of Kyle Larson? 2 tires, they're able to stay in the top 3. Kyle Larson running in that 3rd spot as we see the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. A little fresher tires. They were on pit road more recently.
No, they were on the pit road at the same time, but the 88 has 4 tires
back, yeah,
versus the 2 tires of 42. The issue with the 88 is they had a pit issue, had to come back down to tighten that wheel, and that's forced him. He's a lap down, racing Kyle Larson in 3rd. But you see right behind the 88 is Joey Logano in the 22.
42 and 11 had some close calls fighting for the 2nd spot.
And as you said, the 42's done a really good job once they got their track position of keeping it. See the 11 drive in the corner and actually get into the back of the 42 with Larson. Knocks him up out of the groove in the rubber. That slows his momentum down. 11 trying to get by him.
Oh, and the left front tire down for the 42.
Remember, they only put on right side tires, so that left side tire has had to run 125 laps. Just as we were saying 2 tires was working, this is going to get the attention of the other crew chiefs on pit road.
Kyle Larson onto pit road, missed the commitment line. They've got to have at least the left side tires on that block. Look at the left front tire go down here on the 42.
You can see it low. You can see the sidewall wrinkled up. You see the car sparking as it hits the racetrack. As the tire goes low, the car gets close to the ground. Obviously, got really lucky. He never hit anything too awful hard, I don't think. He made contact right there. It certainly didn't help anything. But considering you blew a tire, I don't think he hit the wall very hard. He hit it harder than I thought.
That's the 2nd issue for drivers that have been running in the top 5 in just the last 15 laps. Saw Matt Kenseth with an engine expire. Matt Kenseth was the spring race winner here at Bristol. That season sweep is not going to happen. And now Kyle Larson, who needs a win to get into the chase, has a left front tire go down.
Yeah, now we're going to be looking for these leaders to hit pit road. And as you mentioned, the last time the pits were open, Rick, it happened so quickly here. I remember the first ever time I'm here calling a race as a crew chief. Caution comes out. I'm waiting for him to pit road to be open, trying to gather my thoughts. And all I hear the spotter say, 10 away. We were 10. We were on pit road, 10 pit stalls away, ready to pit. That's how fast it happens here, even under caution. The pace car's in turn 1. Commitment line's off turn 2. I know I'm going to repeat this all night long, but it's so different pitting off turn 2. That's just one small detail that changes this place that the crews have to overcome and be ready for.
Race leader Kyle Busch leading the field onto pit road. Dave?
Rick, crew chief Brian Patty told me I got to be prepared way ahead of time so that I know what I'm doing. It'll be 4 more Goodyear tires. The car is free in and off, tight in the center. They'll make adjustment for that, Marty.
Dave Adams-Stevens noted the issue with the 42 car. They are going to play it conservative, take 4 tires here for Kyle Busch. He said he got too tight in traffic at the end there, and at 3/4 point in the corner, the car would just stall out too tight. Mike?
Kevin Harvick's been saying his car's been loose in, tight off. The last time down pit road, they made a wedge adjustment, but Harvick said it didn't help all that much. They'll go back to work on the wedge on the right side in a 4-tire change. Kelly?
Joey Logano in the center of your screen said it's getting better in traffic, but it started off in a 4-wheel drift. They're going to give him 4 Goodyear tires and fuel. Below him, you see the 11 of Denny Hamlin. He's still a pretty tight on exit. He started off 3/16 tight. Now he's an 1/8 tight.
Take a look at the race off pit road. Denny Hamlin with that number 1 spot. Welcome back to NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing from Bristol, presented by No Escape. Under the lights, the last great Coliseum. The 4, too many men over the wall, or wall too soon, so they have a pit road penalty. The 42 does the same thing.
We talk about this. It's loud, it's hectic, the pit roads are small. Execution, execution. We just saw this with the 88. He had an issue into the back, lost a lap. Danica Patrick had an issue on pit road, too fast, lost a lap in the next run. Now the 4 and the 42 have given up all that track position. Still a lot of cars out there, Jeff, to go all the way to the back at a little half mile. The leader's going to be coming quick.
They're going to be coming quick, and it's the racetrack you do not want to start in the back end. We've seen why. It's so easy to get caught up in other people's wrecks.
23 cars on the lead lap. Only 2 off of the track as they come out of 4. Green flag back in the air. Denny Hamlin shows the bottom track or bottom line once again on the restart. He's the race leader, chose the bottom. He will keep the lead. Kyle Busch tucks in behind him.
And I really believe Denny Hamlin's only choosing the bottom because he had a teammate to his outside. I feel if that wasn't Kyle Busch, he would have definitely chosen the top. And it looked to me, Jeff, like the 18 of Kyle Busch kind of let the 11 get settled in, and now they'll go back to racing.
88 took the wave around, get back on the lead lap. Clint Boyer all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack. Now, if you are Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, are you at all concerned that your teammate had an engine blow-up early in this race?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely going to be concerned. Anyone that runs the TRD engines, even maybe the 15 and the 55. But unfortunately, with the concern, there's very little you can do. Maybe it's a temperature situation, but other than that, I'm not sure what you can do, Jeff.
Yeah, that's right. There's nothing you can do. One thing we're seeing the advantage of the 15 car, been working the middle of the racetrack and also the bottom. He knows what he needs to do to get his car to work on the bottom of the racetrack in order to pass. If you can only run the top, how are you going to pass if everybody's running the top? So Clint Boyer with the 15 making his way forward by going by people on the inside of the racetrack.
And again, the big picture for Clint Boyer, make sure you get as many points as you can these last 3 races. Put yourself in position to potentially win, to lock yourself into the chase.
And the thing about this team is they've been running better. I mean, if you think about it in the last couple months, they've started running really, really well. They've been running the top 10 consistently, qualifying in the top 10 consistently. So if they can make their way in, they could be a threat. I mean, they could advance their way. Remember, Ryan Newman found a way last year to come within a few laps of winning the championship. Never won a race. If you never thought about him being a contender going into that chase. Well, Clint Boyer and his team, they're kind of the same way. They're getting right at the right time, getting hot at the right time. If they can find their way in and continue to advance, they could be a threat.
Clint Boyer, as I mentioned, one of the drivers that could potentially get into the chase by points. If you look at the top of your screen below the names, if there is a green bar that says chase, that means that they have won and are in the top 30 in points. If there's a yellow bar beneath their name, they are in the top 16 in points without a win. Jamie McMurray, one of those drivers, in the number 1, just behind David Reagan in the 55. McMurray, can he make the pass? Moves up the racetrack, almost gets into the 55. Close quarters here at Bristol.
He attempted to slide jogging, meaning he had to overdrive the corner and slide up in front of the 55. The problem was he didn't clear the 55, so he had to stop. If he hadn't stopped, he would have run the 55 in the wall. So one thing that's happened, we've seen over the years, once this high groove got to be the preferred groove, you'll see a driver overdrive the entry and just slide up in front of another and then just slam on the brakes and stop. That's what he tried to do there, but didn't quite make it work. Dave?
Jeff, I don't know how many guys talked to you after the test they had up here at Bristol, but Matt McCall, Jamie McMurray's crew chief, told me today that one of the interesting things about the test was that the track actually rubbered up, even though there were maybe only a dozen cars here. That doesn't happen very often in a test, and we've got caution on the track. The data applied was my point.
47 of A.J. Allmendinger into the inside wall. So the caution comes out. Right rear tire looks to be down on the 47.
This is the first opportunity we've seen with a caution after a relatively short run where the leaders are really going to have to make a decision whether they need a pit or not, because The field is very spread. We have Kevin Harvick, who we just mentioned had a pit road penalty. Well, he's only up to 21st. There's only 23 cars in the lead lap, so it's very hard to recover. So there's going to be some split strategies here. It's going to be interesting to see what crew chiefs feel they need to make it to pit road.
And as you mentioned, how quick things happen. Pit road's already open, so a crew chief has to decide, do I want to bring my driver onto pit road? Take a look at what happened with the 47 of Allmendinger. There was contact made by the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and around goes Allmendinger.
Track position seeing so important. You don't see a lot of guys peel off from the front of the pack, but there's the line of division. The 31 of Ryan Newman, 9 of Sam Hornish, 24 of Jeff Gordon, all peel off and come to pit road and bring about 7 or 8 more with them.
Newman 14th, Hornish Jr. 15th, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. also making his way back onto pit road. Fastest lap through 150 laps here at Bristol, presented by Sprint, goes to Kevin Harvick. Just over 15 seconds, 15.245 seconds. Join All In Wireless from Sprint. Get unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data, and pick your smartphone for just $80 a month. It's going to be interesting with that fastest lap to watch the 4 who had a pit road penalty. See if he can work his way back through the field. Fans back on their feet. Green flag back in the air. Denny Hamlin, pretty good restart, but that time the 18 of Kyle Busch, a better restart. Is he going to be able to stay up and top? And he's not able to keep that 11 from moving up the racetrack in front of him. So the 11 of Denny Hamlin has the lead once again. Kyle Busch is second. Joe Logano, Clint Boyer, Brad Keselowski, the top 5. Carl Edwards working his way in front of Keselowski to take the 5th spot away. Good run by the 18. Kyle Busch, can he make that outside line work? And will Denny Hamlin give it to him? They come on to the front stretch. The 18 on the high side for the lead. Here comes Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch takes the lead away from his teammate. Kyle Busch mentioned he was struggling struggling with restarts in the Xfinity race last night. Thought the gearing might not have been right for him. These restarts have been very good for the 18 and the 11. And now the 11 has the 22 of Joey Logano challenging for that second spot.
He doesn't have a whole lot of wheel input on the car. He really never goes back to the right, which tells me he's probably a little bit tighter than he wants to be right now. Although he's still running second. He's not running poorly, but the 18 car was able to jump on the outside of him. It just made me think that maybe the 11 wasn't rolling the middle of the corner quite as well as he wanted to, which means he's tight.
Well, one thing about Bristol, and we're going to see this most of the night, is we talk about how the track changes over the course of the run. Well, the cars will as well. We'll have comers and goers. You know, someone will be good early on new tires, and then you get on 50-lap tires. Remember, the longest run we've had tonight has only been just under 70 laps. So when we get these longer runs, one of these times we're going to have 100, 125, 150-lap run. Then we're going to see who really has a long-run car.
And potentially green flag pit stops. You see Kurt Busch working by the 2. Joe Gibbs Racing has been very strong. They've got Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin up in the top 2 spots. Carl Edwards into the top 5 now. Mike?
Yeah, and he's got a very good race car as well. And as Steve was just mentioning, Rick, we're going to find out who has the best long-run cars. Well, if Darian Glove was telling me the truth this morning, he feels like he does. He said we were phenomenal. That was the word he used to describe his car over the course of long runs. They opted not to stop under that last caution and opted for track position instead. Meanwhile, a pass for the lead. Kyle Busch out front, and Denny Hamlin. That battle rages on.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin closed the gap on that 18, but hasn't been able to make the move to get by the 18 after Kyle stole the lead away onto the high side.
Yeah, but you've definitely seen like a shift in energy, you know, as we talk. Kyle definitely had more speed those first 4 or 5 laps, but Denny's definitely closed the speed gap. I don't know if he's better than the 18 yet, but he's definitely not at such a large deficit as he was a few laps ago.
The centrifugal force around this racetrack, Jeff, can you explain it? Is there, I remember a ride at the carnival where you would spin around and it would hold you up against the wall and you couldn't pull yourself away from that wall. Is that centrifugal force the same as in a race car when you're going around Bristol?
Yeah, I think that's close. I think that's a good analogy. I mean, the thing about Bristol is, again, you have to be aggressive. You have to attack this racetrack. And you can see these guys, how close they are to the wall. But if you make any little mistake, like we talked about before, it just kills your time. So look at the gyro cam in Casey Mears' car. Look at the banking. I mean, this racetrack. Look how quick the straightaway happens. Look how long you're in the corner, and you have very little time to make decisions. Everything happens so quickly. You have to respond to stuff immediately.
You've ruined my dream of being a race car driver, Rick, because between that ride at the carnival that made me throw up and the gyro cam, I don't feel I could ever be a race car driver. I would throw up. But you see on the right, that shot in the gyro cam, you see the lit up gauges of the 13 car. He has one gauge flashing red, which tells me that it's above one of his limits that you could set. But, you know, with only one flash, that's something you normally see here in traffic, especially under caution. It takes a long time for the temperatures to come back down. When you ride around under at 35 miles an hour, the oil temperature or the water temperature will get very hot. It just takes laps at speed for it to cool back down. But the more interesting thing is the large gauge is what I'm watching in the center of his console there. That's his tachometer. That tells you the RPMs of the engine. Watch right here at the end of the straightaway. It flashes red just for a second. He'll do the same thing at this other straightaway. What he'll do, well, he didn't get off that corner as well. It might not as well. See, it didn't flash that time because he didn't get off the corner. That flashes red. It's a warning for the driver. It's almost, we call it a shift light. Basically, all it is set at a high RPM, and drivers sometimes use that to drive the race car. It turns red, you get it out of the gas.
But my question to you, Jeff, would be, how do you even look at your gauges? You've got to be looking out the windshield because you've got 42 other cars out there that are trying to take a position away from you.
Well, you can see he was trying to pass Danica Patrick. Danica was on the outside of him. He finally made that pass. You're ignoring that gauge. You can see now it's quit blinking. Now that gauge is quit blinking, which normally means, hey, it's hot, but it's come down a little bit. So, but you ignore it. There's nothing you can do about it anyway. If you're at a bigger racetrack and you had a high water temp, maybe you get away from another car. You run on the inside down the straightaway, get some air to the radiator. But you can't do that here. Right. You just got to keep going. You get to the point where where it starts overheating, then you have to pit and you got to fix it. But he's a long way from making that decision.
What makes Bristol one of the best tickets in NASCAR? There's action everywhere as we're riding along with the 13. Look at this replay right here. The 14 trying to get in the power off the corner. The 17 of Ricky Stenhouse as well, trying to get off the corner, gets into the back of the 14. Big save by Tony Stewart. This is what we're going to see. We're only 175 laps in. A lot of patience being used. Those patience going to wear thin as this race continues.
Kyle Busch still out front here, Thunder Valley. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side. And by Toyota. Let's go places. The world's fastest half mile. The 18 of Kyle Busch continuing to put cars a lap down. Joey Logano has taken over second. Clint Boyer, Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards, the top 5. Jimmy Johnson's dropped outside of the top 10. He runs 11. Marty.
Well, Rick, it seems like Justin Allgaier and Jimmy Johnson have been running near each other all night long. On the radio several times now, Chad Knaus has asked Jimmy Johnson about his line, suggested things a couple of times. Here was their exchange under the last caution period.
They think they're good on fuel, but they're definitely not trying to get under theirs. So we talked about this the last race here. The better you got it at, the better we were. That last great Coliseum right there, that's where you need to be going the other direction.
No, the last time I needed to cut more off and drive it straighter so that I would exit higher.
And what Chad Knaus wants Jimmy Johnson to do is to enter the corner a little bit higher, way up against the wall. We talked about that earlier, and he's sort of coaching his line. See, what this really tells me is the relationship these guys have. They can talk to each other that way, and there aren't many crew chiefs and drivers who can talk to each other that way, give coaching tips, and still be friends at the end of the day, right?
No, you're absolutely right, Mark. You know, being a crew chief and a driver is really like a marriage, and there's hard times in that marriage, too, where you have to give your opinion. But those tips, those communication points, perhaps are what can move these guys into victory lane, but you got to be able to be friends when it's all over with.
Dave.
Watch
Justin Allgaier. He loves to race at Bristol. He's very good here. Crew Chief Steve Addington did not dispute that when I talked to him this morning about the 51 driver. He had his best career finish here in April. It was an 8th place finish, and tonight they've been improving the race car. It was a little tight center off, but they've been getting it better, and now he's got pressure from Jeff Gordon in the backside.
Yeah, Dave, that 51 truck, I went in and saw Steve Addington as well today. And this is definitely, it seems like statistically, Justin Allgaier's best racetrack, as you were pointing out. And this is a team that, you know, gets some help from Hedgwick Motorsports, but it's a 2-car team between the 51 and the 46, who we saw had issues right at the beginning of the race. But, I mean, he's up here running. I mean, look who's sandwiched between. He's sandwiched between, what, 10 championships? That's a pretty good place to run on the racetrack.
Not bad. Justin Allgaier has an Xfinity win here. Back in 2010, his best Cup career finish of 8th happened earlier this year in April. He's looking strong once again. He's running right now behind Jimmy Johnson in the 12th position. Race leader, the 18 of Kyle Busch, getting caught up into the slower traffic. That allows the 22 of Joey Logano to look to the outside. Kyle Busch needs to get by 16. Can't make that pass, so now Joey Logano staying on that high line, trying to trap that 18 down on the bottom of the racetrack. Logano, the defending race winner from a year ago. Riding along with Kyle Busch as we look back at Joey Logano, also able to get by the Biff. Once again, 24 cars on the lead lap. Trevor Bayne is 24th. As Kyle Busch works around this bull ring, trying to get by the slower cars. Marty.
Well, for a guy running in the top 10, Kurt Busch not very happy with his race car. In fact, when this run started, Rick, he told Tony Gibbs on the radio, 7 laps in, he goes, there you go, front grip gone in the race car. But now he's saying, I'm everything. I'm tight 1 lap, I'm loose 1 lap. And he said, right now we have a 5th place car. We're going to need something big if we want to help this car. And the exit of the corner, that's where he's getting hurt the most. Kelly?
Brad Keselowski and the 2 cars really been hot or cold here at Bristol, and his crew chief Paul Wool told me really most of their success came before they ground down the track when he could run the low line. He said that running up against the high line is not really his thing, and now the spotter trying to help Brad pick a better line around Bristol.
Off the center, past center, and off the corners where they're running over you. You can't turn down. I see you break loose, so those guys can and keep driving forward. We're not in the way into the center, but we are in the way past center and off.
Brad restarted 6th. He's lost 4 spots, 10th right now. Mike?
Kelly, Jeff Gordon said at the beginning of the weekend, regardless of the configuration here at the Bristol Motor Speedway, he has always felt comfortable at this racetrack. Evidence of that is his 5 victories here. However, the car right now, not necessarily to his liking. Lacking front grip, he's been awfully tight. He may have also suffered a little bit of right front damage earlier in the race. Dave?
Eric Almirola got the free pass earlier. That was a bonus, but then they hurt it with adjusting. They repitted on lap 148 to take on 4 tires and remove tape from the grill. And then on lap 181, he reported, I've lost all rotation in this 43 car. They'll need to adjust it to get it back to where Eric likes it.
Eric Almirola, 17th in points, just past the cut line for the chase. Kyle Busch trying to stay in the top 30 and get another win. As we look down on the world's fastest half miler, we want to thank Smithfield Foods for tonight's aerial coverage. Let's see who is on the move. Brought to you by Diet Mountain Dew. Tony Stewart, 19 spots for the 14 team. Martin Truex Jr. picked up 16 positions. Jamie McMurray 13. Jeff Gordon 12. Eric Almirola 11. Dave.
That free pass that Tony Stewart got sure helped his night. Got him back on the lead lap. And Chad Johnson told me one thing for sure for Tony, starting back 40th as he did. He will not make many friends at the beginning of this race. He can't do it. He's got to try to work his way forward as much as he can. So once they got back on the lead lap, now they're gently tuning that 14 car, which was very good in practice before they had their problems in qualifying.
Martin Truex Jr. just in front of the 41. That's a battle for the 6th position. Martin Truex Jr. has it. Kurt Busch running 7th. Jamie McMurray, David Reagan, Brad Keselowski all in the top 10. Justin Allgaier into the 11th spot. So again, the 51 team having a very good run early here at Bristol as we're closing in on the halfway point. Once again, Joey Logano looks to the bottom of the track, trying to get by the 18. Kyle Busch for the lead.
Yeah, Rick, and we talked about this. We're at lap 72 of this green flag run. That's the longest green flag run we've had tonight.
Way up the racetrack.
Yeah,
18 went up high, and the 22 took the spot away.
Yeah, he got over the rubber, it looked like, all the way up against the fence and had to get out of the gas. That's all the opening Joey Logano needed. And look how much he's cleared the 18 already in just a half a lap.
So Joey Logano becomes just the 3rd different driver to lead a lap at Bristol tonight as we're, like I mentioned, closing in on that halfway point.
And look at Joey's line. Look how he comes off the corner really low. He's not trying to leave the corner high. He's trying to gets in the corner high. Of course, he can't do it now because he's got to get all these lap cars. But he actually gets in the corner and turns left and leaves with the left side lower than everybody else is. He's making a lot of turn and a lot of rear grip to make that happen.
Kelly.
And really, all weekend long, they haven't had to make any significant changes to the 22 car. As crew chief Todd Gordon said, we have the balance that we were looking for, and really, we have good speed every time we come here with Joey. Right now, Joey just saying that he's a little bit free in and off. He's been adjusting the track bar to try to help that out. Marty.
Kelly, Kyle Busch this entire run has said his car just is a little bit tight. Then he came on the radio about 10 laps ago and told his team the car just doesn't feel right on this run. I don't know if it's air pressure, something is different. It just feels off on this run for some reason. And then after he got passed from the lead, he told the guys, I have it early in the run. I just don't have it right now.
Here comes the 15 of Clint Boyer as he will battle for that 2nd spot. What a great run by Boyer tonight. With all of the distractions of what took place with Michael Waltrip Racing and the announcement that they will not field a full-time team, they released the 15 driver, Clint Boyer, to be able to look for another position in 2016. And he's going to go by the 18 and take 2nd away from Kyle Busch. So Clint Boyer up to 2nd here at Bristol.
Kyle saw that he was faster and just pulled over and let him go. He didn't want to have to battle him, so he just got out of his way. Mike?
Yeah, and this is obviously a very hungry race team for many, many reasons. Of course, the Michael Waltrip Racing news of this week. Also, consider the fact it's been 100 races since Clint Boyer has gone to victory lane. I spoke with Billy Scott, crew chief, this afternoon, and he said, look, because we're on the bubble right now, we're already in playoff mode. We could get eliminated at any point in time, so they've got to be on their game. They're going for a win, trying to relieve the pressure, but they know they can't slip up once here in the next 3 races.
Mike, I love that attitude. You know, everyone talks about the playoffs, and they want all these teams to just flip a switch when they go to Chicago that make the playoffs. And, well, now we're in. Now how are we going to race any different? I really think that there's an advantage to mentally being in the playoff mode. Now, I don't know if there's an advantage of the stress of trying to be in 16th like Clint Boyer's team is. I would rather be guaranteed in and try to get my team shifted into playoff mode. But with that said, at plus 41, and as well as the 15 car is running here tonight at Bristol, it has to feel good for this team.
And somebody outside the top 16, if they were to win, they would jump in front of Clint Boyer and knock him out of that top 16. Welcome back to the IRWIN Tools Night Race at Bristol. Get news, results, and highlights delivered to your inbox. Subscribe to the free official NASCAR newsletter at NASCAR.com/newsletter. Jeff, you have continued to say the track has changed. The track has changed. How has it changed?
There's no doubt in my mind that the rubber on the racetrack has gotten built up, and now it's built up on top of itself. So when the car is driving this rubber on the upper lane, the cars are sliding. So watch the 22 Logano. He turns left. Look how dark it is where Junior is, how much cleaner it is on the 22 where the 22 is running. It's very hard to do this getting in the corner. It will be hard to make that work. But on corner exit, the two fastest cars on the racetrack, the 22 and the 15, they enter the corner high, they turn, and they leave with where the track is clean. Again, the reason it doesn't work on corner entry is because you can carry speed. But as Junior gets in the rubber here, you can see the 22, he's running where the rubber is not. So I believe the track has shifted. That's why these two cars are the fastest cars.
Well, and Joey Logano's listening to you because as we watch him, he entered low a couple times to try to complete that pass. It didn't work. What does he do now? He chases the 88 into the corner. But his car, Jeff, has got to be working. Oh, big wiggle by the 88. He gets into the wall off turn 4. That allows the 22 by cleanly. But you have to have such a great front end on your race car to do that. You know, like everybody wants their car to turn down the racetrack like that, but these guys are making it work.
But I don't think everybody does. I think all we've seen the entire time, look at the line Junior's running. He's running that big Arco corner exit, okay? I think these two guys have figured out that you don't want to do that right now because of the rubber on the racetrack. And so we saw the 88. We saw this happen. The 88 gets in the corner, gets way up the racetrack. He crosses over the rubber. Now he's on all that loose rubber. Now we have a caution on the racetrack.
Caution has come out for the 4th time. Debris on the racetrack. Joey Logano, race leader. Clint Boyer, Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., the top 5. The crossed flags indicating the halfway point. 250 laps have been complete of the scheduled 500 lap distance. It looks as though the 88 Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to receive the free pass. So put him back on the lead lap. That will put 17 on the lead lap unless there will be wave arounds.
And with 99 laps in that current green flag run, I doubt we'll see many wave rounds, but we'll definitely see all the leaders hit pit road, Rick.
And Joey Logano is bringing those lead lap cars onto pit road. Again, 30 miles per hour on pit road, you do not want to speed. Dave.
Rick, that includes Jamie McMurray, who is in the top 10 running 8th. He will bring it down pit road for 4 Goodyear tires and a fill of Sunoco fuel. The car's been just a little bit tight for Jamie. Marty?
Kyle Busch and Adam Stevens were talking about what to do to the 18 car all the way down pit road. He said with about 30 laps left in that run, the tires completely went away on the car. And he said because of that, I have no idea what to tell you to do the car, so they make no changes on the 18, Mike.
Carl Edwards saying he needs to carry more speed through the corner. It's been awfully tight. They'll make a wedge adjustment in 4 tires. Clint Boyer, meanwhile, pretty happy with his race car. A 4-tire change there. No significant adjustments, Kelly.
Race winner Joey Logano pits from the lead again. He said he's running down low. He gets a little bit loose. He's losing the rear end a little bit in traffic. It's 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel, and they made an adjustment to the 22 as well, and now they race off pit road.
Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, first 2 off pit road. Let's take a look back at some of tonight's highlights with the race rundown brought to you by No Escape.
There's just something in the air for the Bristol Night Race.
This is Bristol!
One of the most entertaining sporting events in America.
Things could be out of your control at this racetrack.
You can run, but you can't hide.
The adrenaline, it comes at an all-time high. No Escape in theaters on Wednesday. And welcome back to the last great Coliseum. Did you know that this is the largest amphitheater in North America? Seats all the way around.
Okay, well, I was going to ask. I don't want to sound silly,
Yep.
but I was going to ask what defined an amphitheater.
Seats all the way around.
I know it gets me every time I come. It doesn't matter how many Bristol night races, but when these cars were on the grid, I always wondered, you know, as a crew chief or as a crew member, it was a different feeling standing on pit road of what this track is like. But even standing up here in the booth, Jeff, watching this track, you know, the pre-race and the cars roll off, it was unreal.
Well, next week, the Xfinity Series hits the road live on NBCSN, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It's Xfinity Series racing from Road America. That's next Saturday, coverage starting at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Road racing in the Xfinity Series. Those two have got to be pretty interesting over the last couple of weeks.
Well, I'll be watching because my statistics would say that somebody's going to throw something or grab somebody or shove somebody. It's going to be an exciting finish for sure.
Yes. Look at the crowd here tonight. What a great venue for sports. Justin Allgaier will restart 16th after being up near the top 10. Green flag back in the air. Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch. Carl Edwards choosing the bottom line for the restart. He's able to get in front of the 18. Clint Boyer working the bottom of the track, trying to get by Joey Logano. Into turn 1 and 2. Can he clear him? Not quite yet.
Yeah, that Phoenix 1 car you mentioned, you know, Rick, he's back at 17th after a penalty on pit road, so he's actually tail end of the whole field. Hopefully they can recover that. The 51 was having a great run.
See the 22 and the 15, they both got beaten off of pit road. They came in first and second, came out third and fourth. So track position huge at this racetrack. Got to find a way to get on pit road and off pit road and maintain position.
Kurt Busch to the inside of Denny Hamlin, the pole winner. Hamlin now running back in the 6th position. Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Clint Boyer, Kurt Busch, the top 5. Denny Hamlin, David Reagan, Martin Truex Jr., Jamie McMurray, Jeff Gordon, top 10.
Well, I think right outside of the top 10 is worth noting as well. That's Kevin Harvick in the 11th position. We talk about mistakes. Still, you have to recover from a pit road penalty. It's that, when you lose your track position, no matter how good your car is, it's very hard. You see right here, Kevin Harvick, he has a good car, but the 1 and the 24 are side by side in front of him. There's nowhere for him to go. He's just going to continue to try to fight for that real estate up top. As Jeff Gordon squeezes in, who comes in the left of the screen but Brad Keselowski.
Brad Keselowski trying to make that bottom line work here. Able to get by the 4, now trying to get by the 24.
Heard Harvick have to get on the throttle, off the throttle. Wasn't able to just go to the throttle and stay on it. Obviously, the better handling car is you're able to go to the throttle, squeeze it slowly, and then go full throttle. You normally don't have to go in and out.
There's 17 cars on the lead lap. Scored 17th is Justin Allgaier.
Well, Jeff, you talked about that different line that every guy was starting to run. The 22 was starting to turn down the racetrack. We've seen other guys do it. Well, on board here with Kevin Harvick on the left of the screen. Well, on the right of your screen, in front of him, you see the 1 of Jamie McMurray. He must have been listening to you because he is definitely running a complete different line. Look how he enters the quarter with the 24 and the 4. But from the middle off, he definitely turns down the banking and has it straight low shot off the corner.
This is the first time we've seen this late in the race. We've seen this work early in the race once the high line became the favorite way to go around the racetrack. But at this point in the race, typically we see the typical groove of the 24 running really high on the exit. We didn't see what the 1 is doing. So again, I believe it's just that the rubber is sitting on top of itself and it's not working itself into the racetrack anymore. And when the cars go over it, they're losing traction.
With an update on the 1 of Jamie McMurray, here's Dave.
Rick, loose off the corner and still tight in the center. And I don't know if you remember, wow, Jeff got close right there. I don't know if you remember after practice, Jamie McMurray was asked about practice, and he said, yeah, we made a 50-lap run. And I said, what? A 50-lap run in practice? Matt McCall, the crew chief, confirmed that with me as he makes the pass on Truex. And he said, yeah, we just sent him out there for a 20-lap run, and he just stayed, and we kept going and going, and now Jamie knows what a long run will be like in the race here as they continue to race and tune on that one car.
You know, and as we watched the one past the 78, Jeff, that line gave him such a great run off the corner. Then we got down to turn 3, he had that speed to slide job and get up in front of the 78 and take the position.
78 is falling back. He restarted 5th, and now he's fallen out of the top 10 all the way back to 12th for Martin Truex Jr. But definitely a different line that Jamie McMurray is running compared to most of the other cars here at Bristol.
Yeah, but that's what you want out of a racetrack, Rick. You want options to drive your car a different way, and as we say, that 78 of Martin Truex Jr. is on pit road.
Issues for the 78, Kelly.
And not sure yet why Martin Truex Jr. came in. This would seem to be an unscheduled pit stop. Haven't heard anything on the radio. Last word from Martin was just talking about the conditions of his car being too tight in, and he's been adjusting the track bar. I'm going to find out right now why they're making this stop.
It looked to me, Rick, like the Jackman had a wheel spacer in his hand. That would tell me he had a loose wheel. You know, if the wheel's so loose that perhaps the studs are damaged, that's how you can repair the studs. We'll go back and look at it again here later, but I think it must have been a loose wheel, which is really unfortunate because pitting under green here, Kelly, is big. Is that what you're hearing?
You're exactly right, Steve. Loose lugs from that last pit stop, so it was a loose wheel that brought the 78 back down pit road. It's a shame he was running a really good race. Remember, he's in a backup car after that crash in practice.
Yeah, you're right, Kelly. He had recovered very, very well in that backup car, had got it all the way up into the top 5, top 10 most of the night. But we talk about execution and mistakes.
Yeah.
And it goes all the way around, not just the driver, but the pit crew.
And things happen so fast here, as you mentioned, you lose 2 laps. If you come onto pit road under green flag conditions, you cannot stay within 2 laps of the race leader because it takes that long to come onto pit road, have any work done, and then back off of pit road.
Yeah, so when the 78 came to pit road to have his issue, you're going to see here the front tire carrier actually right here in his hand has a part to the car. So what that is actually a wheel spacer. So the tire change is going to take the tire off, and the tire carrier is going to actually look and assess, do I need to put this wheel spacer on? What that does is it spaces the wheel a little farther away from the hub. If you have a loose wheel, it'll beat the threads up, you know, and then you can't tighten the wheel up successfully. So instantly he had to make the decision, hey, do I need to put the spacer on? Chose not to, but that's what was the telltale sign that he had a loose wheel.
Remember, under green flag conditions, we saw the 78 come onto pit road. Under green flag conditions, you can go onto pit road on your side of pit road and back off and onto the track immediately. You don't have to go all the way around pit road before you come back out onto the track.
And why is it that way? He already lost 2 laps.
Right.
You had to run the entire pit road. I mean, you might as well take it to your truck. If you have an issue, you're going to have 4 or 5 laps down just with one simple trip down pit road.
Kyle Busch back out in front of the field at Bristol Motor Speedway. Carl Edwards, his teammate, running second. Logano, Boyer, Kurt Busch, the top 5. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by the new movie No Escape, in theaters everywhere Wednesday. And by Sprint. Check out the new All-In plan at sprint.com/all-in. Let's go through the field, brought to you by Nationwide. We'll start with Marty.
Well, Rick, if you go through the field today, you usually start with Kyle Busch. He has been the dominant car this afternoon. Back now in the lead here this evening at lap 1. He's led 183 laps. Here's what he said last time about how his car was handling.
I need help with the longevity. It just fell off there, you know. I know you heard that, but it would be just a tad loose in and then tight off at the front, but I could also be loose off at the back, you know. It's not just a one easy thing to work on here.
And you see his teammate Carl Edwards still stalking him for the lead. Much better on this run for Kyle Busch, but he said the last run, as you heard, it was all over the place. In fact, he said it felt like it was on bowling balls. Mike?
Yeah, perhaps one of the reasons Kyle needs help is because he knows how strong that car is behind him of Carl Edwards. Edwards, as you may have heard at the top of the show, told me there's no greater motivation than when your teammates have great race cars. That's the case right now as Edwards tries to get by the leader, Kyle Busch.
Logano now running third. He has led several laps of this race. His crew chief Todd Gordon said that after they won the Daytona 500 to start this season, he felt like they were contending for top 5 finishes. Now they're in it to win it week in, week out. They had a bad pit stop last time around, which cost him a few spots. Joey's worked his way back up to third, Dave.
Clint Boyer looking for a big victory, one that would propel him to a chase berth, and feels like he can do it. His crew chief Billy Scott told me today he has no doubt they can run with the Joe Gibbs racing car. One reason he feels that's the case, he says the strides that TRD has made have trickled down to their team. They feel like they are very strong, and they've got a great short track driver behind the wheel today, Marty.
Mike, there's no doubt that Kurt Busch knows what he's looking for in a race car here at Bristol. He has 5 wins, which ties him for the most all-time of active drivers. He just told the team a moment ago the car's still loose at times, tight at times, but it's much better this one, making progress on that 41, Kelly.
Denny Hamlin started this race from the pole position. His crew chief Dave Rogers told me he was really excited about this race, excited about the car. He called him the most improved driver here throughout his career. Remember, he had to get out of the car early during the spring race due to neck spasms. He was looking forward to trying to get back to victory lane here at Bristol, Dave.
Kelly, listen to David Reagan talking with his spotter, Roman Pemberton.
Nice and line, I like it. Yeah, I kind of like it too. All right, go get them boys again. You ran them down twice.
As we watch the battle for the lead, that line they're talking about is the low line you sometimes need to pass here at Bristol. Mike?
Stewart-Haas Racing is still seeking its first Sprint Cup Series victory here at the Bristol Motor Speedway, and certainly Kevin Harvick would love to be the guy to deliver it. Right now, though, he needs a little bit more security in that race car. He's just a little bit loose, and he says the track feels awfully slick at the moment. Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon has his own issue. The car has been very loose through the course of the night. In fact, he says he's very tentative getting back to the gas. He's worried if he gets to the throttle too hard, the back end will just snap around. They've been going to work on the 24 car throughout the evening, but still, Jeff not satisfied. Kelly?
Brad Keselowski now running in the 10th position, and he's had his hands full with this 2 car. He said it starts off really tight and then gets snappy loose, almost like it's 2 separate events. At one point, it said it almost felt like a flat tire, and he's just telling crew chief Paul Wolf, there's just nothing more I can do to go any faster. Marty?
Kelly, Jimmy Johnson in the 11th position. Jeff Burton talked a little while ago about the track and the changes it seems to be going through. Jimmy Johnson said he's good in the center, but he's loose off, so he had to go down around on the track bar inside the car. And Chad Canal suggested to him, get out of that rubber. That's what's making everybody loose. And you see Johnson doing that. He's trying to get around the 35 car, but he has moved down the track just a little bit. Dave?
Jamie McMurray just lost about 4 spots in traffic. The car has been tight all night, and they've been working on it. Remember, he started 21st and had been running inside the top 10 till he just lost those positions. Kelly?
Ryan Newman is one of those bubble drivers we talk about. He's 14th in points, but still has yet to win. But his crew chief, Luke Lambert, said he's completely comfortable with the direction the team is headed. They had their first top 10 of the last 6 races at Michigan, finishing 8th. Now he's running 13th. Right behind him is the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Remember, they had a loose wheel early in this race that they've had to recover from. Dale seems to have a love-hate relationship with this place. When he arrived here, Bristol contending for 17th. Dave?
Steve Eddington was very happy with the qualifying effort of Justin Allgaier. They made the second round and started the race 14th. He said, now all we have to do is maintain that all day, and we'll probably put 4 tires on every time, which they've done. He runs 16th. Rick?
Justin Allgaier trying to stay on the lead lap. But the 19 of Carl Edwards is closing the gap on Justin Allgaier. Carl Edwards leading at Bristol. Welcome back to NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing from Bristol, presented by No Escape. What a gorgeous venue, beautiful sights here in Bristol, Tennessee. As we look at the lead changes presented by Sprint, 9 lead changes tonight. The most recent was the 19 of Carl Edwards, taking the top spot away from Kyle Busch. And once he was able to get by, that allowed the 22 of Joey Logano to also get by. Join All-In Wireless from Sprint. Get unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data. And pick your smartphone for just $80 a month. 9 lead changes. Carl Edwards in front of the field. Carl Edwards has led 50 laps, make that 51 as he just crossed the start-finish line. Most laps led tonight, Kyle Busch at 192. Denny Hamlin's led 54. Joey Logano has led 28. Only 4 drivers have been in front of the field tonight. Penske and Joe Gibbs Racing combined have won the last 6 races in 2015. They finished 1 and 2 in 5 of the last 6 races. And right now, it's Carl Edwards and Joey Logano. 1 and 2 here at Bristol. 173 laps to go for Bristol. Welcome back to the IRWIN Tools Night Race at Bristol. Tonight's aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods. 164 laps to go from Bristol. Out front, Carl Edwards, but the gap has closed. It's Kurt Busch in the 41. He just tagged the wall.
Gets in the corner, the 55, gets in the left rear quarter panel, gets him sideways, gets in the wall. It's hard contact. 55 just knocked him around.
Is that short track racing?
Well, I know David Reagan didn't mean to do it, but you know, you're responsible for your car. He just drove in the corner there and didn't anticipate the 41 slowing down as much as he did and got into the side of it.
And you're going to think the aerodynamics doesn't matter at a place like Bristol, but with that damage on the right rear quarter panel, it's definitely going to hurt the side force of that car. You know, we talk about it in some of the higher speed tracks, how it's like leaning on a crutch. Well, now when the 41 wants to tug on the wheel.
The bumper cover over right rear hit real hard in the right front.
See, they're getting, relay the damage from the spotter. You know, it's definitely going to hurt how that car handles with that damage on the quarter panel.
Race leader is the 19 of Carl Edwards, trying to get by the 34 and closing the gap on the 88. Running second, Joey Logano in the 22. That's how close 1 and 2 are after we've completed 340 laps, now 341 laps complete.
This was so hard about Bristol. Here's Carl Edwards in the 19 trying to lap the 88 of Junior, but then he's got Joey Logano right behind him trying to take the lead. So Carl's got to be on his game right here.
22 ducking down low. Joe Gibbs racing in the 19 in front. Penske in the 22. Joey Logano running second. Once again, trying to make that low line work. Joey Logano in the 22. A little bobble coming off of turn 4.
Now as we get longer into this run, we have Kyle Busch is on pit road, Marty.
And guys, Kyle Busch obviously pitting out of sequence here. He said something is drastically wrong with the car, and then he diagnosed it to Adam Stevens, and the crew said it's a loose wheel coming to pit road. So he came very quickly. He was running third when this happened. Clearly for the 18 team, we talked about their position in the championship standings. They need this to stay green and everybody else to have to pit as well so they don't go down further laps.
We've seen a lot of loose wheels tonight, Steve. I don't know. Is it because they've got to become accustomed as you see a battle for the lead?
Here comes Logano looking to the inside. That 19, will he use the 88 as a pick? Joey Logano almost completing the pass on Carl Edwards. They're side by side for the lead. Logano making that low line work. He gets in front of the 19, Logano, the new leader at Bristol, but not so fast. Here comes the 19 of Carl Edwards looking to the inside. That 18 of Kyle Busch taking 1 lap away from being 2 laps down, now just 1 lap down as he was able to get by the 22.
And that could be a huge, huge thing for the 18, because now if the caution comes out, he could choose to stay out and get the wave by. I know that seems silly, but he's trying to maintain his spot in the chase in the top 30 in points. Every point is going to count.
Kyle Busch now scored 17th. Had to come onto pit road under green flag conditions.
Look, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is not running terrible. He's running 13th. He's the first car lap down. That's how fast these leaders have been. You know, when you're 13th, you don't expect to be a lap down, but Junior is right now the first car lap down.
You know, Jeff, as we were saying before that battle for the lead heated up, and they're going to do it again. A lot of loose wheels tonight for sure. It seems like maybe, now they're both behind lap cars. We're going to see this a lot tonight. Lap traffic. Joey Logano's trying to thread the needle through the middle.
3 wide, and again, Carl Edwards back in front of Joey Logano. Logano was able to make the pass on Carl Edwards. Now, Edwards back out in front of the field at Bristol. Both drivers with a win, staying in the top 30. They have green lines underneath their names, indicating that they have won and in the top 30 in points. Advancing into the top 16 in the chase, which will take place after Richmond.
It's so difficult to anticipate what the lap cars are doing. You know, Joey Logano went to where he thought was the best place to go. He got held up. Carl Edwards went by him. You saw right there, Carl turned left really, really early to try to prevent Joey from making a move while he was trapped next to his own.
Oh, and Carl Edwards has to check up. Got a problem with the 19. Looked like he was going to go into the 6. Flat tire on the 19 of Carl Edwards. He gives up the lead. Joey Logano out in front.
And it's a tire he had go down. May have cut it. They're going to go to work. They instantly call Carl Edwards to pit road, and they go to work changing 4 tires on the 19 machine. But obviously, a huge disappointment while running up front. They'll lose some serious track position as they have an ill-timed flat tire.
And I applaud the pit crew. As quick as Carl Edwards got to pit road, if you have a pit crew member just standing in the back of your pits or perhaps has taken his helmet off, they were not ready to perform service. Those guys were ready. They got 4 tires on it, trying to limit the damage.
We're still about 40 laps away from green flag pit stops for the regular cycle. Welcome back. Under caution for the 5th time tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway. This time it was for the 42 of Kyle Larson. Larson hitting the outside wall very hard. Potentially a right front tire that went down. We'll have to take a look at it as the field all in line behind the 22 of Joey Logano, race leader, and pit road is open. We would expect to see almost all of the field making their way onto pit road now. Dave?
David Reagan drove from 9th to 3rd on that run. He'll get 4 Goodyear tires full of Sunoco fuel and no changes. The car is that good. Marty?
Dave, Jimmy Johnson hits pit road in the 7th position. You see him working his way down to his pit stall. He said, honestly, getting into the corner was pretty good. Center was pretty good. 2 loose on exit, especially early in that run. Chad Knaus making the call for 4 tires, and you see the wedge adjustment also for Jimmy Johnson, trying to tighten it up, middle of the corner off later in the run. Mike?
Clint Boyer saying he's just been a little bit loose. Otherwise, the car's been pretty good. They're going to make a 4-tire change here, an air pressure adjustment, Sunoco race fuel, and that's about it. Nothing major. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick pretty happy with his race car as well. No major adjustments there either, just 4 tires and fuel. Kelly?
And Joey Logano saying his car is pretty decent, equal to about how he was the last one. He said, I can't take off as good as those guys, but then again, they're blowing tires. You saw it was a 4 Goodyear tire change in fuel for the 22.
Logano quickly off of pit road. This is what happened with the 42 and Kyle Larson.
Yeah, you see right there, he's on the bottom of the racetrack, but it just goes straight off the corner. Obviously a problem with the race car, perhaps a tire. There's nothing Kyle Larson can do at that point, though.
And one more time, Kevin Harvick caught too fast on pit road. Let's take a look at tonight's Mobile One Performance Factor, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, basically what you're looking for here is avoiding mistakes. These cars have had mistakes. Kevin Harvick, 2 pit penalties. Loose wheels on a whole bunch of cars. Earnhardt, Truex, Kyle Busch, and then Justin Allgaier with a pit penalty. As hard as it is in traffic tonight, you have to avoid these mistakes. Stay towards the front of the field.
13 wave arounds. The 18, he is on the lead lap. 192 laps led for Kyle Busch. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. got the free pass. And the caution light's still on the pace car, meaning we'll go around one more time before they get the green flag.
The thing I love about this racetrack is that having a fast car is just part of the puzzle. You have to do everything right. You can't make mistakes. Pit crew can't make mistakes. You got to get all 5 tight. Driver can't make mistakes. You have to run a clean race here. You can have some mistakes early in the race because you can recover. But if you have mistakes late, it's very hard to recover. It's a real test. Driver, team, everybody involved.
Under 134 laps to go. They can all make it on fuel, right, Steve?
Yeah, they can all make it on fuel. The 4 was caught for speeding this last time around, and he blamed it on the 11 pushing him. You see him right on the 4's bumper around the corner. You know,
I mean, 11 was pushing me around the corner, at the end of the corner there.
Definitely could be disappointment. The only issue is if he's pushing you, how was he not too fast?
He would have
so
to
I do hear what Kevin's saying. Perhaps it could be, you know, 1/100th of a mile an hour difference between the 2 cars.
Green flag back in the air. Joey Logano on the outside. Race leader Denny Hamlin running second. Down to the bottom of the track, David Reagan, top 3. Fighting for that second spot now as he works the outside line. Great runs for Michael Waltrip Racing tonight. Both of their cars in the top 5. David Reagan running 3rd. Clint Boyer is 5th. Logano out front. Denny Hamlin, David Reagan, Jimmy Johnson, Clint Boyer the top 5. Jeff Gordon, Brad Keselowski, Jamie McMurray, Ryan Newman, Kurt Busch, the top 10.
Jimmy Johnson with a really aggressive move off of turn 2 to get on the outside of David Reagan in the 55 car. That was extremely aggressive.
And a little contact there. The 55 goes around. David Reagan into the inside wall. Caution comes out again. And they pile up as well. The 15 in turn 4 also sideways. So potentially, somebody got into the back of the 15. Let's take another look at what happened. There was some contact made between the 55 and the 48 there.
Yeah, the 48 came down running that line we've been talking about. The 55 was under him. He hit the 55, got the 55 low, and the 15 ran into him. So just kind of a chain reaction. But it all started with the 48 car turning left and trying to run off the corner in that lower line.
Yeah, the last thing Clint Boyer wants to do is get into his teammate, but he's against the apron. If he goes any farther low at full speed, he's going to crash both cars. It's really just you said a chain reaction, really. Jimmy Johnson pushing the 2 of them down. I mean, that's Bristol. Jimmy's protecting his position against the 55. The 15's underneath the 55. There's just really not enough real estate on the racetrack.
Let's ride along with Clint Boyer.
Come on, hit man, outside. Yells out, inside.
And the 2 of Brad Keselowski got into the 15.
Yeah, the 2 is to his left rear quarter panel. It just looked like Clint wasn't real sure that he was there. You heard the spotter saying outside. But you have to remember, the wreck started off turn 2 and they spun in turn 3. So when you get involved in an incident, a lot of your focus goes to the incident that you were just involved in. You know the caution's coming out. You kind of relax a little bit, and that almost looks like that's what happened getting into turn 3.
13 wave arounds under that last caution. This caution is huge for those drivers.
Yeah, especially Kyle Busch. We mentioned a moment ago he had to pit under green, came back, got 1 lap back the hard way, passed the leader on the racetrack to get the 1 lap down. The previous caution, he took the wave around to get back on the lead lap, and now a short run. Caution comes out. The 18 has the opportunity to come down pit road, put fresh tire, fuel. He can reset his entire race.
27 laps to go.
And how quickly things change. We had 2 MWR cars running in the top 5. Great night for them. They got together. Now neither one of them's in the top 5, and Clint Boyer's down to 10th. So typical Bristol, things change quickly.
We did. We talked about at the top of the show how fast things happen. It's it can turn for you or against you.
Well, and big for the 15 of Clint Boyer in the bubble.
Yeah, no question. And fortunately for Clint, you know, there's 12 cars in the lead lap, so that's a big break for him. You know, having, you know, getting spun, getting into turn 3, didn't lose a lot of track position, to be honest.
Bad, not bad at all.
Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Brad Keselowski. They're the top 5. Ryan Newman, Jimmy McMurray, Kurt Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Boyer. And here comes Kyle Busch, Marty.
Rick, as you guys mentioned, this plays right into the hand for Adam Stevens and Kyle Busch. He said, free it up for me. I noticed in traffic it was much tighter, tougher to pass those guys. And he also had the wherewithal to say, if we beat the 15 off pit road, we'll start on the outside. That's what we want, Mike.
And you just heard Billy Scott assessing the damage on the 15. He said the right front didn't look too bad. It definitely looks scuffed up. They're going to try to pull out the fender there. They're going to make a 4-tire change in the 15 as well, Kelly.
And the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. got the free pass last time around. He said he's loose and tight in the center. He said he's been using the track bar, moving it down to help with rear grip, but it's getting tighter and tighter out there for Dale Jr.
13 cars on the lead lap at Bristol. Welcome back to NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing for Bristol, presented by No Escape. The IndyCar Series is on NBCSN tomorrow. Helio Castroneves is on the pole at the Tricky Triangle, while championship points leader Juan Pablo Montoya starts 19th. That's IndyCar Pocono tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. That was Charlie Kimball earlier today at Pocono. Big wreck. He walked away from that one. That coverage presented by MAV TV. Not at all. Very hard hit for Charlie Kimball. Glad he was okay. Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, side by side. We're back to racing at Bristol. Logano with a great restart. The 24 of Jeff Gordon, his final Bristol race. On the outside, fighting for that second spot.
That's a new face to the front of the field. We haven't seen the 24. This is the highest he's run all night.
Trying to stay in that second spot with the 11. Denny Hamlin working the bottom of the racetrack. 24 of Jeff Gordon. Things stack up behind them. 24 of Jeff Gordon, currently 15th in the point standings. Another one of those bubble drivers that has to have a good finish the last 3 races before the chase. Gordon able to stay out in front of the 11, and he holds on to second. Second, third, fourth, and fifth, all nose to tail. Here comes Brian Keselowski, working to the inside of the 48s, and the cautions come out again. And we will have another restart. This time the 24. And the 22 will make up the front row. 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. hit the wall. That was the reason for the caution. You see some damage to the front right side of that car.
Benefactor of that is Austin Dillon. See on the top of the screen, Austin Dillon, the lucky dog, who hit the free pass right here.
Just before the 17 gets into the wall, take a look. Teammate. 6 of Trevor Bayne getting into the 17, and now we see 17 way out of shape.
Damn, a little bit of damage on the 78 car as well.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had top 10 finishes the last 3 races here at Bristol.
Talked about Ricky at the start of the race. He qualified really well. They were looking for a good run. Felt very confident coming into this race. It just hasn't worked out for him. Dave, you have something on the one car?
Yeah, how loose was Jamie McMurray's car? He lost 4 positions on the restart, so he pits from 11th to put on 4 tires and get that car tightened up. Mike?
Kevin Harvick on his way down pit road, just completed service, or is about to complete service. 4 tires, fuel, and an air pressure adjustment for Harvick. He's been pretty happy with his race car. That's the call by Rodney Childers. The team now off the wall, going to work on the right side of that machine. Feels like it's been pretty good. One strength of Kevin Harvick, I've been told, at this track is he really knows how it changes throughout the course of the night. He's been identifying those changes and relaying them back. They've been making the adjustments appropriately, guys.
Only 13 cars on the lead lap, so the guys at the back of the lead lap cars are making their way to pit road. Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway. Closing in on the final 100 laps of this 500 lap race. Logano and Gordon making up the top 2 spots. NASCAR is going to be live from Darlington, South Carolina, Labor Day weekend on NBC. Sunday, September 6th, it'll be Sprint Cup Series racing from Darlington. Then on Saturday, September 5th, Xfinity Series racing presented by K&N. A great holiday weekend of racing on NBC. We are back. It's going to be fun, guys.
Feels like all rights with the world when you go to Darlington on Labor Day weekend. Got all those throwback paint schemes. You got to bring out some. How deep in the closet you got to go, Rick? I mean, you got to have some throwback threads back there in the back of the closet somewhere.
He wears them pretty often, it looks like to me.
I will wear something that is a little bit of a throwback.
I tell you one thing, too. We talk about Darlington. Not only we see a lot of paint schemes throwback, I understand the tire falls off a tremendous amount. You see a lot of speed fall off from the first lap to the 10th lap. That's throwback Darlington, too. I'm looking forward to that.
Old school Darlington racing.
Logano on the outside. Gordon on the inside. Green flag back in the air. Logano clearing the 24. Here comes the 2 of Brad Keselowski on the outside. Fighting for that second spot. Gordon able to seal the deal, hold on to that second position. But here comes Brad Keselowski on the bottom of the racetrack now. And up the racetrack he goes, moving the 24 ever that much closer to the wall. And Gordon able to hold on to that position. Keselowski still fighting on the bottom of the track. Races him back up the track again. This time, Brad Keselowski's going to clear him. Keselowski takes second away from Gordon. Brad Keselowski running a different line now as Penske is 1 and 2 here in Bristol. Teammates fighting for position. Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. Junior gets by the 24. Now Denny Hamlin's going to try to get by Jeff. And the 48 of Jimmy Johnson close to the wall there as they came out of the turn. Checks it up, but gets it going the right direction again. Hamlin still working on the inside of the 24 of Jeff Gordon. Gordon falls back to the 4th spot. And now, Joe Gibbs Racing drivers, they were side by side for just a moment. The 18 of Kyle Busch able to get by the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. tracking down the 2 of Brad Keselowski.
Had a pretty eventful night for the 88. I think they've had, what, a couple, at least one wave around, right, Rick?
One wave around and 2 free passes already tonight. Top 7, all past winners here at Bristol. They have 16 wins amongst them. Kendrick Motorsports, they may have been struggling the past few races, but looking strong tonight. Here comes Jeff Gordon. Look at the inside of that 18. Not able to get back by him. 18 moving toward the front. Kyle Busch up to 4th.
Much like we talked about the 88, the 18 has recovered extremely well. Remember, they had to pit under green at Bristol. Who pits under green at Bristol and makes their way back into the top 5? He did a great job, made 1 lap back on the racetrack, got a wave by, now has driven himself all the way back up through the field to the 4th position.
Team Penske, 1 and 2. Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 3rd. Kyle Busch 4th. Jeff Gordon in the top 5. The throwback paint scheme for the 24. The rainbow colors.
This is such a classic Bristol race. We have comers and goers. It seems like every 100 laps we have a different group in the top 5.
Mike.
Hey guys, this is the run the 24 team has been waiting for a long, long time. If you had a conversation with Alan Gustafson any time over the last month, you could sense the frustration not having the speed in the race car they were looking for. In fact, Jeff Gordon said to the media earlier this week, he said, look, I'm being realistic. We've been behind as a team and as an organization, but if we perform to our potential, we'll be fine. Tonight, they definitely are performing to their potential running up front. Kelly?
Brad Keselowski Keselowski in the 2 car has worked his way up to second behind his teammate, but he hasn't been entirely happy with this car all night. In fact, last time through on the radio, he said he just cannot turn in the center. He's got no drive off, but he's still been able to make some moves. Their biggest focus has been having clean pit stops as they head into the chase, and it's been good so far tonight. Marty?
Kelly, Steve mentioned a moment ago how about the rally for Kyle Busch. He is up to the 4th position now and coming. He just told Adam Stevens a moment ago, I want to know 20-lap increments from here to the end of the race. Remember, they've been very good in an early part of the run, not so good at the end of the run. So, Steve, that sounds like to me he wants to manage the tires a little bit better.
And just as we updated Jeff Gordon, we're having a good run. Problems occur. He felt the vibration, perhaps a loose wheel. He's on pit road, a 4-tire change.
Remember, he was running 5th and 15th in the points as far as one of our bubble drivers, and he has to come to pit road under green.
I have never, in recent memory, seen such a wide variety of teams with loose wheels. The list is quite lengthy.
I just have to wonder if the teams have gotten a little bit used to not necessarily having to get all 5 lug nuts tight because they're no longer policed by NASCAR. Now we're at Bristol. We have so many more forces on the race car that we don't have in a lot of other racetracks. So I have to wonder if that's playing a role here.
Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski 1 and 2, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, the top 5. We go NASCAR nonstop. Monday morning, Dan Patrick talks with tonight's Sprint Cup Series winner from Bristol. Don't miss the Dan Patrick Show weekday mornings. It's 9 to noon on NBC SN. Denny Hamlin working by some of the slower cars on the track, trying to stay close to his teammate, Kyle Busch, who's running 3rd. Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski 1 and 2.
We talked about other guys recovering from misfortune. How about Kevin Harvick? A couple pit penalties tonight, and here he is back into the top 5 as well.
Kevin Harvick running 5th, Dale Earnhardt Jr. 6th, Jimmy Johnson 7th. .77 laps to go. Logano has already led over 100 laps of this race, 104. As Kevin Harvick has closed the gap on the 11 of Denny Hamlin, so Harvick will try to take that 4th spot away from Hamlin. Top of the show, we mentioned you can't make mistakes. If you want to win at Bristol, you've got to do everything right. The 4, a couple pit road speeding penalties for Kevin Harvick already tonight, and he's fighting for the 4th spot. Biggest movers, Kevin Harvick since the restart, 7 positions. He and Kyle Busch both moved up 7 spots. AJ Allmendinger advancing 4 positions again since the most recent restart.
Kevin trying to use the 16 as a pick.
Side by side for that spot. Harvick had the nod when they went by the stripe, but now Denny Hamlin back out front.
That was great work by Denny Hamlin to fight to the inside of the 16, take that group 3 wide. Although you're on board here with Kevin Harvick, definitely loose for the 11 and caution on the racetrack.
And the caution comes out again. We will have another restart at Bristol.
This is an interesting time for a caution. I think all the teams kind of wanted this caution because we saw tire troubles late in the run earlier in the race. So if people pit here, I think they feel pretty safe about their tires making it the rest of the way.
Joey Logano out front. Caution for debris on the backstretch. The free pass goes to Carl Edwards in the 19.
Does anybody dare not come?
Well,
last night in the
I was going to say,
race,
let's refer
Chris
back
Buescher,
to last night.
He stayed out, got track position. He had a good car. It worked for him. But with the difference is, tonight there are 13 cars in the lead lap. And when I look back around the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, I just don't think that Ryan Newman has showed that. Maybe Ryan Newman would stay out, thinks he has a race car. The 31, we haven't seen him to the front yet. Maybe that's what he thinks he needs his track position. Kurt Busch, Jamie McMurray. It would be a gamble, but you have to make the chase. So what are these guys out that have wins, don't have wins? It would be a gamble, but I don't think it would be just throwing caution to the wind. It would be a calculated gamble with only 70 to go.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a huge gamble because there's only 13 cars in the lead lap. So if you take off with the lead, maybe the worst you do is fall back to 13. So now is a good time to take a gamble.
Great point. You're running 13th. What's it matter?
Why not?
Yeah, you've got guys back there, Justin Allgaier, Austin Dillon, 12th and 13th. Need a win? Be a great way to steal a win. They pick up the debris on the backstretch as the lead lap cars are making their way onto pit road.
Tua Keselowski, we saw him stay out.
Right, Keselowski stays out on the racetrack. He was running 3rd. Marty.
Rick Chadkinow told his guys, put your capes on. I need a Superman stop from you guys here. Jimmy said on the track his car lost a little bit of front turn and air pressure adjustment in 4 tires. The front of the backstretch pit road, Kyle Busch is already leaving his stall. 4 tires for Kyle Busch. He said, I'm good by myself. Too tight in traffic. Mike?
Kevin Harvick saying his car takes a little bit of time to get going at the beginning of a run. They're not going to make any significant adjustment, just air pressure, 4 tires, and Sunoco race fuel on the 4. Kelly?
22 of Joey Logano that pit from the lead has been pretty happy with this car. He's been working the track bar inside the cockpit. Below him you see the 11 of Denny Hamlin. He was running 4th. He said the car was snappy loose on that run. It was a wedge adjustment, 4 tires and fuel for the 11.
Strategy coming into play once again. Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, the race off pit road. Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick, 3 and 4. Welcome back to Bristol. Speeding on pit road, something you cannot do, and that's exactly what the 18 just did.
We've talked all night about mistakes, and there have been cars.
Section 6.
Now they're telling Section 6. That's what section they are on pit road. That's right in front of the pit box there, Marty.
And they have been arguing this ever since this penalty was given down. Originally, they said it was Section 5, which is the section that the 18 car actually is pitting in. Adam Stevens immediately came on the radio and said, we can't be speeding in our very own section because we obviously stop in that section, so we wouldn't speed there. And then NASCAR came back and said, no, it was Section 6, which is the section from the end of their pit box to the yellow line here on the backstretch. But obviously, Kyle Busch not very happy. Adam Stevens not very happy. And give them full credit. They did an amazing job after the loose wheel, getting back up through the field to second, but this penalty will take them out of a shot for the win.
That's some of the trouble there. That Section 6, Marty, is right in front of their pit box, and it's kind of into the curve, a little bit of a pie shape. Very easy to maybe get too low, get too straight, end up with a speeding penalty.
Brad Keselowski stays out. His teammate came onto pit road. They're side by side. Green flag back in the air. 63 laps to go. Joey Logano, a great restart on the bottom of the track. He takes the lead away from Brad.
Yeah, the tour, Brad Keselowski didn't pit. He has old tires on. I didn't think that was a bad call. I actually expected more cars to stay on the racetrack, and I'm sure Paul Wolf was at the same mindset. He didn't think he'd be the only one on old tires.
Yeah, you've seen a few cars have tire problems late in runs, but we're hearing that it's mostly melted beads. Look at the 4 car on the outside of the 2.
They split the 2. Denny Hamlin went to the bottom. The 4 went to the top. And those 2 continue to fight for position. Kevin Harvick up to second. Denny Hamlin third. Dale Earnhardt Jr. fourth.
My point about the melted beads is that the 2 car, the only gamble is we have seen tire problems. But with only 59 laps left to go, you're probably not going to melt a bead. So you probably didn't damage a tire early with the brake heat. That would be over a long run that you would damage the tire. So I think that's very low risk.
Jamie McMurray, Ryan Newman. 2 drivers side by side in the top 16, but don't have a win. Top 16 in points. Clint Boyer to the inside of the 2. Boyer has recovered back to 7th after getting sideways after his teammate David Reagan got into the inside wall. Chase Bubble points ahead of 17th as they run on the track. 34 points, the difference between Clint Boyer and Casey Kane, who's now in 17th. Just 2 races remain after tonight before we start the playoffs, before the chase for the Sprint Cup gets underway. We mentioned guys on the bubble and the issues that they were having. Right now, the issue Joey Logano has is that Kevin Harvick is coming on strong.
See how much the 22 pulled the 4 car down the front straightaway. Kevin Harvick had trouble getting off turn 4. And when he did, Logano just pulled him by like 5 car lengths.
One thing that Kevin Harvick doesn't have trouble is getting into turn 3 and turn 1. He gains so much, as you see up on the 22 on corner entry. He's going to do it again down here into turn 3. His car must be so secure, he just eats the 22 up getting into the corner.
You hear the rhythm. Kevin Harvick is in a rhythm.
And 22 is using that same line, trying to turn off the wall, leaving the corner, where Harvick's using a little more higher radius leaving the corners.
But with 51 to go, Jeff, they're just now passing the 98, 1 simple lap car. But on the horizon, not even a quarter lap in front of them is a whole mess of lap cars. And with 50 to go, they're going to catch him. This is going to be determined. If it stays green, this lead can be determined in lap traffic.
Which line do you choose? Kevin Harvick continues to close the gap as they enter the turns. 22 has been strong exiting.
It's amazing the rate at which he gains on him getting into both corners. He all but hits him. Logano slows his car in the middle to get it to rotate because that's what he wants to do. Try to leave the car a little bit lower on corner exit. You see where Harvick leaves higher. So Harvick beats him on corner entry. Logano beats him on corner exit.
47 laps to go. Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick fighting for the lead. Harvick got a little high coming off the turn there. But once again, able to close the gap as they enter the turns. Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. They're the top 5. Right up against the back bumper of the 40 goes to 22 of Joey Logano. Now they're in that mess of slower traffic. Which lines will they choose? That will become very important. The 4. Kevin Harvick staying up high.
See what Logano's doing. Logano's not trying to pass on corner entry. He enters the corner behind the lap car so he can turn leaving the corner and pass him leaving. He doesn't want to enter the corner below him because that slows his momentum down. He'd rather slow down early so he can get the good run off, and that way Harvick can't get him. That's good, smart driving by Logano. You can see, like we talked about early in the race, just when you catch somebody, that doesn't mean now's the time to pass them. You have to time when you pass them. You have to understand where their weakness is, where your strength is, and pass where it helps you.
Logano goes to the inside of the 23 to take that spot. 4 of Kevin Harvick continuing to run the high line. Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, 1 and 2. Go NASCAR nonstop. What an incredible battle between the 22 and the 4. Right now, Kevin Harvick running second. He has 7 second-place finishes since his last win. Presented by Sprint. Follow Miss Sprint Cup on Twitter now for a chance to win an autographed hat from today's victory lane.
Jeff, have you seen a battle with 2 cars running so dramatically different really complete approaches to the corner, not just line, but the 22 backs the corner up, rolls in. The 4 flies down in the middle of the corner. It's like they're running almost 2 different racetracks.
Completely different styles, and all that is because of the rubber buildup on the racetrack. We can see a good shot of how black it is in some of the areas. And Joey Logano, we saw halfway through the race, he changed his line. He stuck to it. Kevin Harvick, he didn't change his line. He stuck to what he's doing. So both drivers are going around here in the lines that work for them the best.
Logano and the 4 of Kevin Harvick, 1 and 2. Mike.
And Kevin Harvick awfully hungry to get a victory. It's been a while. One thing is for sure, though, this will be, if he stays inside the top 10, a milestone moment for Kevin Harvick. He's looking for his 250th career top 10. But he's working every line, trying to find the best angle. Right now, he looks low underneath Logano, just couldn't get him.
Almost contact there again between Logano and Kevin Harvick. They have come so close, so many laps in a row. And that time, both of them running the lower line. And the 22 about got tagged by the 4. Take a look.
22 trying to go around the 16. The 4 is working the bottom. Missed him by inches, the 22 did.
Joe Logano running the high line, able to get by the lap traffic. Now the 4 of Kevin Harvick mired back in that traffic. 24 thought he had a loose wheel, came to pit road. Mike.
And more issues for Jeff Gordon. Perhaps another loose wheel going to work there. Obviously, this is a problem that they need to find a solution to, but twice so far tonight.
Jeff Gordon 3 laps down now. 14 cars on the lead lap. Kurt Busch running 14th. Joey Logano has led 154 laps tonight. Closest competitor to him, Kevin Harvick, a second back. 21 laps to go at Bristol.
Kevin Harvick is the second back, but that 22 is getting ready to catch another whole chunk of lap traffic.
Certainly looks like as this run has gone, the 22 Logano has gotten, his car has gotten better compared to the 4 car. He's been able to drive away from him. But exactly what you said, Steve, lap traffic here, it's probably the hardest racetrack we go to get around lap traffic. Joey doesn't time everything just right. The 4 will be right on top of him.
Logano had to stay on the bottom of the track that time through the turn, and almost a little contact there between he and Casey Kane. A different line for Logano. The gap is between the 22 of Logano and the 4 of Kevin Harvick. They are 1 and 2.
Todd Gordon right now, Joey Logano's crew chief. He's just hoping everybody keeps their car straight with 18 to go and you have the lead. Let's just let this thing finish out under green. These are the most stressful parts for the crew chief because his job's really done. He can't drive the race car. He can cheer his driver on, give him some information, but the car's built, the car's adjusted on it. It's all up to Joey Logano and his spotter to work his way through lap traffic.
And obviously we're focusing on the lead right here because it's such a good battle, but let's give a shout out to the 51 and Justin Allgaier running 12th position with only 16 laps to go. That's a great run, and Austin Dillon right behind him. They're continuing to improve, get better finishes every week.
That time by 15 laps to go. Here comes Kyle Busch in the 18. Kyle getting by Ryan Newman for 9th.
Pit road speeding penalty is so costly. You could you never want mistakes, but if you get them early enough in the race, you have time to recover. But with only 75 laps in the race left, when Kyle got his speeding penalty, there's just no time to recover to get back to the front.
22, Joey Logano. Now behind 2 wide traffic. Will that give Kevin Harvick the opportunity that he needs to catch back up?
It's not going to take long behind these 2 slow cars. You see how much the 22 is going to force his way through.
Harvick stays in the high line. Strong into the turn. He's closed the gap once again. Now he goes to the bottom to try to get by the 6 and get 1 and 2 nose to tail. Can't do it that time. It's Trevor Bayne. Stays between the two lead cars. Joey Logano continuing to try to find the right line to get by the lap traffic here at Bristol.
And this is the perfect example. We talk about the preferred line being on the top, but we talk about how you have to have a car that can move to the bottom.
Here. All good.
Because with 10 to go, that's where Joey Logano has to go, is wherever the cars aren't. And since most of them are at the top of the racetrack, he looks to the bottom.
Now no cars between 1 and 2. Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick. Can he do it again? He was able to close the gap and get right on the back bumper of the 22 earlier in this run. The 22 is caught up to Casey Mears. He goes to the inside trying to get by. 5 car lengths separating Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick.
Keep digging that bottom. 9's still out there. 9's the only one up there. Clear up.
Here comes the 4 again.
Bottom 2 back.
That's how close it is.
Perfect. Clear up. Clear up. Clear up.
Under 7 laps to go. A lot of traffic in front of the 22. The 4 also trying to negotiate as well.
Still out there, 43. Still out there, 21, 41. Still out there, still out there. Keep working the bottom.
You can see why Joey's been working hard to try to enter the corners on the top. You can see his car is not as good as Harvick's when he has to enter the corner on the bottom. Being stuck underneath these lap cars is not what Joey Logano wants.
Gets the 7 and 41 between he and the 4. A big run by Kevin Harvick, though.
Clear low. Perfect.
4 laps of racing to go.
4 to go.
Kevin Harvick has one more shot at it. The gap between the 22 and the 4 continues to grow. Logano, the fastest lap that time by. Kevin Harvick, the second fastest lap. He's got to be faster, though. 2 more laps. Just over a mile left at Bristol. Catching lap traffic again. One more try for the 4 of Kevin Harvick. This time by, they'll see the white flag. One more lap for Bristol. The 4 working the high line, trying to keep the momentum up. They've got to get through 3 and 4 one more time. As they come out of turn number 4, Joey Logano tries to hang on. He will. He wins at Bristol.
Yeah, baby! Bristol again! Get your thumb! What a wheelman! Wow! Way to go, guys!
Joey Logano won here a year ago. Backs it up with this win tonight. His second win at Bristol. What a great performance those two drivers put on over the last 50 laps.
It was so much fun to see them run the different lines, both of them giving everything they had. There's nothing left, I can guarantee you that. I like the fact they both stuck to what was best for them. You know, sometimes you get lured into trying to do something that your car won't do. Both those guys knew what their cars could do. They got the most they could with the cars they had.
Incredible win for Joey Logano and that entire team. Let's hear from the crew chief, Dave.
And they won this race last year. Todd Gordon, how do you explain defending a win at Bristol?
Pretty awesome. It's that kid drives a hell of a race car, and it's just proud of this whole Shell Pennzoil team, believing in what they do and doing what they do. And we knew what we needed to work on in practice. We didn't have exactly the fastest race car, but we knew what our balance needed to be able to do what he did tonight.
I met your dad earlier today. He was here to see you do what you do.
Yeah, it's cool. I got the whole family here. Wife and kids are here too. So this is one of those races, and to be back-to-back night race at Bristol, it's a heck of a day.
Enjoy the celebration. Todd Gordon, the winning crew chief. Rick.
And he burnt the left rear tire off of the 22, doing burnouts at Bristol. A unique victory lane here at this racetrack. It's on top of the building in the infield. And that is the direction that the 22 team is going to head to get up to victory lane. What a huge win, though, for the 22 team. Joey becomes the 4th different driver with 3 or more wins this season. After the big win to start off the 2015 season, now he gets back to victory lane at Bristol. We'll hear from him next. Fireworks were on the track earlier, now in the air outside of Bristol Motor Speedway. The 22 of Joey Logano has made it to victory lane. Our post-race show will be from this very location in just a few moments, but now let's go to Kelly Stavis, who's going to chat with the winning driver.
Todd Gordon, his crew chief, and the rest of the team, as you can see, have made their way up here to victory lane to celebrate with Joey Logano. He has now won 2 of the last 3 races here at Bristol. He's won 2 of the last 3 races this season. Joey, what a run for you in that 22. You had to battle just about every driver from Joe Gibbs Racing at one time or another. Late in this race, it was Kevin Harvick. Where did you have the rest of these drivers beat today?
Oh man, it's with the team. I can tell you that much. The team is so good. We've been so close to winning these things, and lately we've been getting them. So couldn't be more proud of the Shell Pennzoil team and what they've done. It's just an incredible race car. We focused on what we needed in practice, and we got the reward in the race. And I was very proud of the discipline in the team and just doing what we do every week, and you know, staying calm when things don't go our way, and we can redeem ourselves. So it's just awesome. Todd Gordon's the man. Obviously, Auto Trader, AutoZone, Coca-Cola, everyone that helps us up, helped at Penske, and say hello to my wife, Brittany. So I wish she were here, but this is just such a cool moment.
How about that end of the race? You had that 4-car of Kevin Harvick all over your rear end.
Yeah. You know, I thought I was going to be able to pull away from him because our car was really good in the long run, not so good on the short run. And I never really did, and I was like, oh no. So there's so much traffic in front of you, and you just got to keep working the traffic and work the right lanes. And he drove in so hard, and I would drive off so hard, and it just kind of, it was kind of interesting to watch it in the mirror. I was watching him drive in so hard. I'm like, he's going to get me eventually. So I just wanted to make sure I stayed at least 3 or 4 car lengths up on him so he didn't get to me.
All right, Joey Logano wins back-to-back Bristol night races, Rick.
Yeah, and I want to take a look at tonight's Coca-Cola winning moment as Joey Logano takes home the checkered flag, and such a close call right there with Kevin Harvick. 3rd win of the season for Joey Logano, and such a big one here at Bristol. Was able to win the night race a year ago. He backs it up and defends that win tonight. Mike Massaro.
And total model of determination for Kevin Harvick. Had to battle through some adversity tonight, but still a remarkable finish second. How would you assess the night?
Well,
first off, I'm just proud that NBC actually played our interview this week, so the fans will be happy. And I just want you guys to know that I actually did the interview next week. They just didn't play it. But just got to thank everybody in our Jimmy John's Budweiser team for just really doing what they had to do to stick this out. I made a mistake there on pit road and got us behind, and then just didn't quite get our Budweiser Chevy through traffic like Joey did. There was a couple times where it was pretty close, but I wasn't letting off the gas and just needed to be a little bit closer to make something happen. But all in all, just really proud of my team. They show the heart and determination that you have to have. And this hasn't been my favorite place, still isn't to drive, but they bring really fast race cars here, and that overcomes a lot of my talent lack that I have at this particular track.
The closing laps were awfully dramatic. What were they like for you?
Well, you're trying to keep pace as you go through traffic. You know that you're coming up on lap traffic. You don't really know where they're going to go. I could tell that Joey was having that huge diamond early in the corner. My car was okay on the bottom, but I couldn't really get through the center of the corner like I needed to. There at the very end, I found a really high groove that worked well through 3 and 4, and we were able to make up a little time. But it was just kind of, you catch a little, you lose a little, you catch a little, you lose a little. But just really proud of my team.
Kevin Harvick, 17th top 5 finish this year. It's a new career high, Dave.
Standing by with Denny Hamlin, who had a strong run tonight. Not quite the victory again. You okay with that? No, you shouldn't be, right?
No, definitely not. We come out here to win, but still a decent day for our FedEx Ground Toyota. Just had a top 5 car all day, but just never a race-winning car, especially once the track got rubbered up there pretty good. But still a great job on pit road. Pit crew did an amazing job, and we just hung around all day. You know, not enough attrition for us to get in victory lane.
My favorite pass was the dive and the slide job tonight. How did that work, and what was that like to control the car doing that?
You needed a lot of cooperation from whoever you were slide jobbing, for sure. I mean, they were going to have to give you the spot. Unfortunately, this racetrack, unless someone wants to give you the spot, it's very, very hard to pass. So to go on the bottom and try to dive up on somebody, it requires them to be able to give you the spot by hitting the brakes. Otherwise, it could be nasty, but it's still a fun racetrack, and still a good result.
Most of the time tonight, it wasn't nasty for Denny Hamlin. Marty?
Dave, what an impressive recovery for Clint Boyer tonight. At one point, sitting sideways on the racetrack after contact with your teammate when Jimmy Johnson and you guys got together. To come back and finish 5th, kind of impressed with your evening?
Yeah, I was impressed with the guys' efforts all weekend long. This is a big night for us. We needed this. Driver, got us behind last weekend after Michigan. But man, when you step up to the plate like this and you're running at the level that it takes to be a part of that championship caliber elite group like you have in a chase. I mean, that's you don't want to just go into that chase and be a part of and be the first guy out. You want to go in that chase with some confidence, some momentum, some good runs where you can maybe go a few rounds and hang in there. Great night for us. Given everything that's happened this weekend, this was certainly what we needed as a group, as an organization, to have 2 cars running the top 5. Sick that what happened with the 55. David's done such a good job of stepping in and filling in that seat and being a good teammate. Certainly didn't want to see that.
When you were running second, did you think, I have a shot to win this thing?
On the long run I did, because I was just riding. It's a 500 lap race, and there's no need to get excited about that. But I knew it starts getting down to the end. Those cautions come, and they breed cautions. And there was some guys. I mean, the 48's a hell of a race car driver. I mean, he was pretty rambunctious on those restarts, and he's smart enough to know that that's where he was good. And shortly thereafter, we would take over. So he did what he needed to do, and unfortunately, it kind of got us in a pinch and got wrecked. But nonetheless, I'm pretty happy.
A much-needed 5th place finish for Clint Boyer tonight. Dave?
Well, Jimmy Johnson finishes 4th tonight, and it looked kind of like typical Bristol out there. How would you describe it?
Definitely typical Bristol. Unfortunately, the first half of the race, we just jammed the car good enough, and it was too tight. Came close to getting lapped a few times, but then we got my baby tuned up, and off she went. I feel like the last 2 or 3 restarts, we lined up on the inside, and that really hurt our chances at a shot at the win or top 2 or 3. But still a great night for this Lowe's Performance Pro Service Chevrolet, I should say. I put our performance in a bit of a bind on lap 4 in practice when I smacked the wall. My guys had to rebuild the right side of the car and got us behind in practice, but we found our way in the race and got this thing right. So very proud of my guys.
We discussed the summer lull in pre-race. Does this help it?
Yeah, this does. I mean, especially coming to a track that has always been hard on us, and to finish in the top 5 is good. Darlington will be a challenge just because it's Arlington, and then we're actually excited for Richmond. We finished 2nd or 3rd there in the spring, and really excited to go back there. So hopefully we can start the chase with a victory in the next couple weeks.
Good things coming up for the 48 team.
Take a look at the unofficial results from Bristol. Joey Logano with his 11th career win. Kevin Harvick 2nd again. That's 8 second-place finishes since his last win.
And Clint Boyer needing a good run. He got a 5th, and then Ryan Newman down in 10th. Both of those guys needed good runs trying to get into the chase.
Yeah, we mentioned this some during the race, but how about the 51 of Justin Allgaier in 12th? It's a great run for him and that whole organization. Austin Dillon continues to improve, and Trevor Bayne, a top 15. I know that's not a win, but for an organization trying to improve like Roush Fenway, a top 15.
Casey Kane, Jeff Gordon, drivers that are either inside the cut line or just outside, needing good finishes, top 20 finishes.
And see Greg Biffle in 25th, still continuing to struggle.
Yeah, you see down here 40th. It's an unfortunate situation for David Reagan. He was running such a great race, just got caught up, but that's what happens here at Bristol.
And Matt Kenseth with the engine issues. Back here in 42nd, Kyle Larson, 41st place finish after the right front tire, the damage with that car. Take a look at the grid, the cut line, very big now. Clint Boyer, 35 points in front of Eric Almirola.
I call this an escape. When you look at 12 through 16, not a lot of movement. For those guys that are in the chase, they escaped Bristol without losing points, but unfortunately for the guys outside the chase, Jeff, none of them really made a big gain.
No question. I think if you're Jamie McMurray, you're Ryan Newman, I think you feel really good going into this off weekend. You're going to get some good rest. The rest of those guys, though, will be a little tense the next couple weeks.
What an incredible race took place here at Bristol Motor Speedway tonight. Always fun under the lights when you come to Bristol, Tennessee. One of the most coveted tickets in all of racing. Well, the Sprint Cup Series is off next week, but NASCAR coverage continues next Saturday with Xfinity Series racing from Road America. Coverage on NBCSN begins at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Sprint Cup Series will return in 2 weeks, along with the Xfinity Series for some Labor Day weekend racing in Darlington. We're looking forward to that. Both races will be live on NBC. A great race, a great win for Joey Logano as he gets his 2nd win here at Bristol. Now for more post-race coverage from here in Bristol, we send it over to Chris Devoda, Kyle Petty, and Dale Jarrett.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.